Hey there, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. If you haven't noticed, we have switched our server to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Highly recommended by me and everybody else here at the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Hello, wrestling fans. Welcome to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate, Aaron, and Kyle here with you. And we've already started talking before we even started recording this week, but this week's show, just to get out there, is a pay-per-view review show. I didn't write down which pay-per-views you guys had when we did the drawing. Which one did you have, Kyle?
I had Super Brawl 1997.
97. What did you have, Aaron?
Halloween Havoc 1989.
And I had Super Brawl '01, so we all had WCW. But I think I got the dick up the butt on that one.
Yeah, you got the short end of the stick.
It's pretty bad. But we're gonna do that. We're gonna do our pay-per-view reviews. We were just talking about bad jobber names before we went on the air. Aaron said the worst is Ken Raper.
Ken Raper. Should have thought of something else.
yeah. Probably his real name. It's like, well, why would you use your real name? Change your last name to Doll. At least then you'd be Ken Doll.
Jesus.
Something, other than Raper.
Yeah, we had a fucking...
He always used a rag of chloroform before hitting his finisher, the unlawful penetration.
At least his name wasn't like Dick Army or something.
Then I put that he was also trained by Grizzly Smith and Buck Zumoff.
Oh, Buck Zumoff.
And then some guy got mad, and he was like, I know it's a joke, but that ain't funny. Like, yeah, it is.
Buck Zumoff is the worst human being ever in wrestling. That guy's an asshat.
Yeah.
Him and that...
Worse than Fritz?
Yeah, because Fritz wasn't like a child molester or anything. That Buck Zumoff was a... the worst thing about him was he wasn't even good. As a wrestler. Like, his gimmick didn't fit him at all. Rock and roll Buck Zumoff. He looked 50 with this big poofy mullet. And...
Then this other guy, he put something funny on here. He was like, this guy's very picky. He only rapes guys named Ken. I was like, that's funny.
I think the worst name for a rapist would be Grizzly.
You mean Jake Roberts? Jake Roberts' daddy?
Yeah, can you imagine Grizzly's going to come get you? They're like, please don't.
He was born out of love, and I love him now.
Born out of love.
No, he wasn't.
As they're just hitting that rock with a sledgehammer, like that's one of the most awkward moments in Beyond the Mat. Like, why are they just hitting that rock with a sledgehammer? What the fuck is going on?
It's like at that time, that's what Jake was good at.
Hitting the rock.
I can just see fucking Grizzly Smith be like, well, since you're here.
Come on, that was great.
I know it was.
Kyle just kept going.
Yeah, you see the fucking Jake.
No love hitting the rock joke.
He did cocaine a lot. A lot. Like fucking Motley Crue is blushing with the amount of fucking cocaine that man did. But no, I just fucking imagine him showing up at his dad's. He's like, well, I guess since you're here, you faggot, you might as well help me fucking break some rocks.
Help me hit this rock. Oh, what, Daddy? No, not that kind of rock.
We'll finally get a bond.
and then we'll have to be out on bond.
Yeah.
Fucking worst part of that shit, fucking Beyond the Mat is when he has the white shit on his fucking coat. And he's like, what the fuck is this?
Chocolate or something?
Chocolate. It's like, you are fucking gone, man.
And this guy wrote this story about somebody else that was just another thread I got on. Somebody posted like some pictures of Doink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And someone was like, I got to see Drunken Doink. Yep, that's right. Matt Bourne versus Dan Severn 20 years ago. The match started and Matt called him a motherfucker, and Severn wrestled him down and won within a minute. As we were all leaving, Matt was outside, cursing and swearing at everyone who passed by. So I put to this guy, that sounds amazing.
He was wrestling as Doink?
Yes.
That's great.
And he was drunk, and he got out there with Dan Severn, and he thought that was a good opportunity, I guess, to look at Dan Severn and go, you motherfucker.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be Dan Severn versus Drunk the Clown.
And Dan Severn just beat his ass.
It's funny.
And then Matt Bourne went out in the alley and just started yelling at everybody.
It's funny.
There's few men in this world that I would call a motherfucker, even if I was drunk. And I think Dan Severn would be on that fucking list.
It's funny that one Raw where Vince and Rob Bartlett are calling him Dork the Clown, and then Vince realizes he's like, Dork. No, it's not Dork.
No,
like
Macho
it happens.
Man,
it like happens on the air.
The like voice of reason in that situation, because they come back and Doink's up in the stands, and Rob Bartlett's just like, "There's Dork the Clown," and Vince just goes with it. He goes, "Yep, that's Dork."
There's just like this moment of realization.
And then he says it again, and then Rob Bartlett's like, Dork the Clown, and then Randy Savage is like, his name's Doink.
And Vince's like, yeah, Doink. Who would name a clown Dork?
Dork. Dork.
Oh, Vince, you would.
Dork the Clown.
Dork's a stupid name for a clown. like for a minute, Vince thought the clown's name was Dork.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has this moment of realization on live TV that he's
like, Dork's a stupid name for a clown.
It's so funny. And none of them fucking sell it, but it's great.
Because it's a real conversation. Those three guys, like, none of them are in character. Like, Randy's just like, his name's Doink. Like, in this regular voice, Vince's like, yeah, Dork. Stupid name for a clown. Oh, look at this action. I was watching, like, an old WWF, and there's this big fat jobber guy, and he gets in the ring, and he's, like, jumbling all around, and Vince McMahon's like, oh, my lord. Look at this guy.
Look at this guy.
Here. Just totally just fat shaming this guy.
So speaking of Vince McMahon, I don't think Vince McMahon's moving Crown Jewel from Saudi Arabia. The way they
he doesn't want to get beheaded.
The way they portrayed it on TV this week, I don't know, Aaron. I don't know if you watched Raw and SmackDown.
No, I did not.
Kyle, did you watch Raw and SmackDown this week?
Yeah.
Okay. If you noticed this week on the show, they talked about the Crown Jewel show, but they never mentioned it being in Saudi Arabia. I think that's what they think is their cure for this, is they're just not going to mention that it's in Saudi Arabia.
Until it fucking happens, and then they're like, hey, like, what are they going to say? Like,
right.
Coming live from somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know how they.
Not Saudi Arabia with Saudi Arabians fucking in the front row.
It's like ECW renaming that shitty ass arena the ECW arena, so they didn't have to say live from the bingo hall. You know, it's like they're just going to play it up as it's not. I don't know. I mean, and when the show hits, they might just say from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You know, but
they're going to have to, because everybody's going to be wearing that outfit.
That same.
Everybody's going to notice
they're
that
have
everybody's wearing the same outfit.
They're going to have that same tablecloth on their head.
Oh, it's that oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a tablecloth.
I'm just not watching their show until that's over. That's the decision I made.
I'm not watching that pay-per-view.
I'm not watching their show till that pay-per-view's over. When that pay-per-view's over, I will continue to watch their show, because I think I know what they're going to do.
What's that?
I don't think they're going to promote any more shows from there.
Yeah, they'll probably still do the shows, but you're right.
Promote them.
Yeah, they'll still do the shows, but they won't promote them. Yeah. They'll promote them in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but not, yeah, you're right. They'll probably do it that way.
They should take all of the revenue they got from that show and make it extra revenue added on to the Evolution pay-per-view. and then give all the Saudi Arabians money that they gave them to all the women.
Yeah.
Pay the boys, but any of the extra revenue, just give it to the girls. So here you go.
Yeah, and they're, I don't know. A lot of people say, I hear a lot of people making this statement that they're being hypocritical by doing shows in Saudi Arabia and then having an all women's pay-per-view.
I don't think it's hypocritical.
No,
I think it's.
I don't subscribe to that just because I think that having an all women's pay-per-view in the United States and having a show in Saudi Arabia are two completely different animals.
I agree. I just think it'd be funny to give a bunch of sexist guys.
Yeah,
give their money to women.
Give their money to women. Yeah.
Yeah.
SmackDown. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
I just think it's fucking ridiculous that it's like just the bad press that they're going to come with for all of this. I mean, is it worth it?
They don't give a shit.
Well,
they don't give a shit.
But it's not just
the only way that they're going to stop doing these Saudi Arabia shows is if someone else that they work with that benefits them more financially has a problem with it. If Fox says, don't do these shows...
What does the Fox say?
Then they're going to go, okay, we won't do these shows. You know what I mean? Or if a major sponsor says, you need to not do these shows.
We've decided to make a deal with Qatar. We're going to go there instead. No. It's worse.
Don't go anywhere where that barbaric religion runs the government. Period. End of story.
But I don't know. To me, does it feel like to you guys it's like, wow, so Saudi Arabia brought out Shawn Michaels and brought him out of retirement, which kind of killed that whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the most unfortunate. That's the most unfortunate thing for me for it is I really want to watch Shawn Michaels' return match, but I'm not going to get to because out of principle, I'm not watching that show. I mean, and I'm not being a baby about it. I'm just not going to watch that show. You know, I'm not going to go on social media and slam WWE because that'd be a hypocrite. I watch their product. Frankly, I drive a Ford car. I mean, Ford does business in Saudi Arabia. I pay Ford $300 a month every month.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just you got a fine line there. Now, as far as SmackDown 1000 goes, you know what's crazy when I watch that is remember back in the day when they would have these special shows where special people were going to be on the special show and all this, and it was exciting and it was great and it was cool, and I mean this show did not feel special to me at all.
No, I mean, really, name me one thing that happened on it that was...
Their product doesn't give me that feeling anymore.
Well, and that's the problem, is that when you sit there and say, like, did you watch Raw or SmackDown, our immediate response is,
Now, that's another question I wanted to ask. Yeah, because there really wasn't anything else that, like, super duper happened this week. But that was the question I was going to pose to you guys since we do about 30 minutes on the modern product at the beginning of the show is, what are your modern product viewing habits? What shows do you watch? What shows do you watch the whole show? What's your favorite? You see what I'm saying? Like, what shows do your appointment viewing for you?
Yep.
So, Kyle, you first. What do you watch every week? How do you watch? What's your favorite promotion?
Usually, when I watch, it's gonna be like NXT because it's quick. It's an hour long. You're done, and it's still fucking wrestling.
Yeah, it's a good wrestling show. Now, do you watch Raw and SmackDown every week?
I will watch SmackDown, and I'll watch the Hulu. I might watch Raw. Just because on Raw, there really isn't much on Raw.
Right. Well,
I mean,
yeah, just as an example, the Strowman, Ziggler, McIntyre versus The Shield has been the main event for Raw the past 3 weeks in a row. You know, and they put this cool heel faction together with Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre, and they've already broken it up. And,
right.
But
I'm sick and fucking tired of hearing about fucking Dean Ambrose. Oh, is he gonna fucking turn on the Shield?
Yeah.
No, he's not going to turn on the Shield because they've fucking...
Yeah, they wouldn't say it if he was going to.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody else.
Now, do you watch anything other than a WWE product? Do you watch 205 Live?
No.
Anything other than WWE Weekly?
I'm going to be quite honest with you. What I do is I watch recap shows of, like indie stuff and like New Japan and Impact, because I just don't have fucking time.
Right.
I mean, like I said, a lot of the time what I'm doing is I'm listening to podcasts of weekly review shows for that shit, because at work I got 8 hours to kill.
Right, and it's not like you missed anything.
No, and if there's something cool, then I'll go back and watch it.
What? Were you laughing at me?
No.
Oh, well, hell.
Well, Kyle just said, I wonder if Jeffrey Dahmer's ever said that. At work, I got 8 hours to kill.
Yeah.
So what?
Serial killers put in like an 8-hour day.
What about you, Aaron? What are you?
Can't wait to get home to those bodies.
What are your viewing habits, Aaron?
How modern can we go?
Well, I'm just Well, I guess that's one more question for Kyle. Kyle, that's a good one, Aaron, because I was going to put that in my viewing habits too. Now, do you watch a majority of old stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will watch. Quite honestly, I will watch 97, 98 Raws. I don't care about 99. I'll watch fucking like 93 to about 97, 98 Raws. Nitro, on the other hand, I will watch till about 97, 98 as well. But usually I find myself sitting down and enjoying Nitro better, just the presentation. Because it's not... How do I want to put this where it doesn't sound ridiculous? It's not just about like, oh, we're building towards next week or we're building towards this. It's like, hey, you might get to see fucking Brad Armstrong versus fucking Glacier, or you might get to see fucking Scott Hall versus fucking Larry Zbyszko, and it's shit that you don't get to see very often. Or
right.
It's different.
So Aaron,
and it feels like a sports show. Nitro does. It feels like, hey, these two guys are gonna fight. Prince Ikea and fucking Ray are gonna fight tonight because the standings in the cruiserweight title picture says, hey, these two guys should fight, and we'll see who's moving up.
Yeah, my biggest problem with Nitro came once it went to 3 hours. There's too much filler then, kind of like Raw is now.
Yep.
There's too much filler. Like you said, it's cool to see once in a while there's like a Brad Armstrong versus Jushin Liger match or something just out of nowhere. But when they're throwing out, Steve McMichael versus Wrath and just throwing it out there, I have no interest in that.
Well, here's the other big thing about that is that even your jobber matches, because they had Saturday night and they had, basically in worldwide and stuff, Brad Armstrong might be a jobber, but he has wins over less jobbers. So when somebody beats him on Nitro, it feels like a big fucking thing.
Right.
As opposed to now where it's just like...
Speaking of Brad, he had on you... Oh, he had... I just type in random wrestlers on Amazon.
Oh, God.
Seeing if you can find some kind of random action figure or something, Well, I typed in Atom Bomb, and he had shouldn't say he, but I think it was him, because I don't think anybody else would put this price tag on it. It was an autographed WWF 1994 magazine of Atom Bomb, and he signed it, and he wanted $92.97 for it.
He can go fuck himself.
Yeah. And I was like, it was worth $5 so you wrote on it.
Shut up, Brian Clark.
Real quick.
I put this up, and I was like, and then some other guy was like, because I put, oh, look, Brian Clark's selling his own shit on Amazon again. And a dude was like, ain't he dead? I was like, no. And then the guy was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was his tag team partner." I was like, "Yeah, it was Brian Adams. Teaming with Brian Clark would kill anybody."
Real quick before we get into everybody else's thing, have you ever looked at like the pictures for shit that's like, hey, I got photographic proof that so and so signed it? They look so fucking happy to be there.
Yeah,
they just look like
so
they look like, you motherfucker, you're gonna sell us on goddamn eBay.
So happy. Aaron. No. So what are your wrestling viewing habits?
Well, I've just been watching a lot of old stuff on network. I've kind of started where I fell off watching New Japan on Access. I got to get caught back up on that. But, I mean, I just found MLW on my TV, so I'm going to start recording that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, I just don't watch a lot of the current stuff just because a lot of it doesn't appeal to me anymore.
So you don't. Okay, out of 4 weeks out of the month, how many weeks would you say you actually watch Raw or SmackDown?
2.
NXT?
1.
Okay.
And then everybody you said, talks about how great NXT is, and it's not. It's just it's good, and I'm a pay-per-view guy.
NXT, she ain't what she used to be. Like,
I'm just even like that with the WWE. I'm a pay-per-view guy. When they're on pay-per-view, they're perfectly fine because they're just having their matches, they're presenting their product as a show. You know what I mean? I don't know. Their stories suck.
Other than that Super Showdown, I'll get to that in a minute. And as far as I go, I watch.
I didn't watch the Super Showdown, so I can't talk about that.
I watch. Well, it's not a big point on the show. It's just
I always find out kind of why you guys talk about this stuff.
Something I noticed about it. I don't watch Raw and SmackDown are not appointment viewing for me anymore. Actually, I usually watch on a day off when I get up in the morning, having my coffee or whatever. I will watch Raw and SmackDown both on Hulu, and I fast forward through the majority of the show, unless I watch usually the promos. I don't watch the whole matches unless it's a match I'm really interested in, and I fast forward through them. NXT, it depends on what the show is, how the show is that week. I will either watch the whole thing uninterrupted or I'll fast forward through that. I don't watch New Japan, but I do watch Ring of Honor. I'm actually an Honor Club member, so I can watch their TV show every week. And I usually watch their show every week. But the only show, to be honest, that I watch from beginning to end anymore, as crazy as it sounds without fast forwarding through any of it, is MLW. MLW is actually a really cool promotion. It's pretty old school. Shivani and Matt Stryker do the play-by-play. It's got, I guess I don't want to say it's old school. It's old school in the way that it's booked, but they have a lot of the guys. I don't watch any Impact. I have no idea even what's going on in Impact unless it makes news. But they have guys I really like Jimmy Havoc is really good. Brian Pillman Jr. just made his in-ring debut on that show this week, and he's in the Hart Foundation with Teddy Hart and Davey Boy Smith Jr. And they got a cool thing going on. Pentagon's on there, La Parca's on there, kind of chubby now, which is funny. They have some really cool younger guys too, like MJF and Filthy Tom Lawler. It's a really good promotion. That I recommend to listeners to check it out. And then as far as the classic stuff goes, I watch everything in chronological order that's on the network, and just when I'm done, I go back. So like right now I'm in 1995, so I'm watching WWF 95, WCW 95, ECW 95. But that's how I do that, unless there's just something I off the cuff want to watch. So yeah, I mean, it's sad to say, but for someone that used to need to watch Raw and SmackDown from beginning to end every single week. I do not do that anymore. And actually, there are weeks where I'll miss them and don't even give a shit. Just read the recap and, nothing happened, as usual. And then, like Aaron said, you don't even have to... It used to be that the TV show was what you wanted to watch, and if you didn't get to see the pay-per-view, like back when you had to buy the pay-per-view, it wasn't a big deal. It sucked because you couldn't see the pay-per-view, but now you can watch the pay-per-view, and it doesn't matter if you watch the TV show or not. First of all, and that was one of the things I was going to say about the Super Showdown. Watching that show annoyed the shit out of me because, first of all, after every match there was some kind of a commercial for something. Because they have so much product now that they're constantly promoting 8 things at the same time. And on top of that, before every fucking match, there's this 7-minute video recapping the entire feud. Like, they know people don't watch their show. I don't know. I don't need to see this. I don't need to see 7 minutes telling me why these people are going to have a match before every match.
All right, so here's a good question for you, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is bringing up some serious discussion. Is it the fact, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, okay? Is it the fact that wrestling is boring as shit now? Is it the fact the storylines are bad? Is it the fact that it was better when we were younger? Or is it the fact that when we were younger, you could watch Monday Night Raw, you could watch Heat, and SmackDown was there, but I mean, for me, SmackDown was hard to get because it was UPN, and it was to get it on regular stations, it was fucking fuzzy as shit. So
yeah, it wasn't in this area. It wasn't always available,
right? So usually it was, you had 2 hours, and even with Nitro, you had like 2 hours and stuff. The point is that now we have it at a fucking fingertips. Where when we were younger, it's like, I remember I played the living shit out of the same fucking pay-per-views that I ordered and taped.
Yeah.
You know. And so it's like you just kept watching the same shit over because
I don't know how many times in my life since 1997 I've watched WrestleMania 13 and it's never boring.
Right. So here's the question about that. Is it the fact that it's worse than it was, or is the fact that we're not used to the fact that everything is at our fucking, it's at your fingertips now, where you can go fucking, you don't have to go a time without wrestling.
Well, I think it's a combination of a few things for it, because it depends on your age too. I think it's a combination of a few things. I think first, yes, like you said, everything's at your fingertips now. So if I want to discover a new wrestling product, all I got to do is get on the internet. I mean, I watch MLW for free every week on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel. They put their show up every week. You can go back to episode 1 and watch it all the way through the promotion. That's what I did when I first started watching it, and I got hooked. Now, I think another thing is, as classic wrestling fans, and this is where we go into age, it's more fun for me to watch the old stuff than it is to watch. Like, there's weeks that I'll be like, I need to watch Raw, and then I'll be like, fuck it, I want to watch what I'm watching of the old times, so I'll just watch that instead. But then you come to this. I remember when I was in my 20s, being on the internet, and guys that are on the internet, you remember message boards.
Yep.
You'd be on the internet, and this is like 99, 2000, 2001, when shit was hot as fuck. And I remember guys in their 40s and 50s, maybe even late 30s, in these message boards going, it was so much better when superstar Billy Graham was on top. This product today is garbage. And I realize as time goes on, is there a little bit of that in us? Have we become those guys? Because, there's little dudes out there right now where John Cena is literally an old guy, like Harley Race would have been to us by the time we started watching. And Roman Reigns and The Shield are the shit. So I think it's a combination of things, but I do have to acknowledge that it was better in my day. We're old guys now. I mean, not old, like fucking old farts, but you know what I mean. We are becoming, it was better in my day guys, just like the guys before us did.
Yep, I just celebrated my 32nd birthday yesterday, so I know what you're saying. But here's the thing I want. My big thing is, okay, so we've all watched wrestling our entire lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, let's go back to, 94, 95, when it was fucking Duke the Dumpster Drowsy, and it was pretty shit.
But I still watched it every week, because...
And did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, see, now here's my issue. Is it so much the fact that, is the product bad, or is it the fact that we have so many fucking alternatives now? We have so many different podcasts and all these different things where people are like, oh, my God, you listen to Steve Austin's show. He talks about how, it used to be better. It used to be better. You listen to Jim Cornette. It used to be better. You listen to any podcast, people are telling you it used to be better. How much of it is truly the fact that it used to be better, or is it the fact that we're blinded by all of our heroes saying, hey.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I promise you. Okay, so in 94, 93, 94, 95, I would have been in the 14 to 16 age range, okay? And I loved watching Raw. But I guarantee you that a kid that is that age now is not listening to Steve Austin or Jim Cornette's podcast, because those are old guys. They're not listening. They're not listening to it.
That. But
for us,
is that when you go
yes,
to
we're listening.
Show, though,
we're listening to our own choir. We're in our own bubble,
right.
Essentially.
But the problem is that because we think that it used to be better, because we think that is that the reason why people are booing Roman Reigns? And if I was a fucking 10-year-old, I'd be like, the fuck do I like this guy for? Everyone's fucking booing him.
Right,
like,
but
the fuck is this?
But I promise you this: if you would have been living, okay, all right, I'm going to use this as an example, okay?
Okay.
All right, and hear me out. Go back to 1993, okay, and take 1993 and say the internet is what it is now. In 1993. Okay?
Okay.
Forming opinions, dirt sheets, everybody can talk, everybody talks about what they want, et cetera, et cetera. Lex Luger is getting booed just like Roman Reigns is now. You take the internet out of the promotion. You take the complete destruction of kayfabe out of everything. And let the fat guys in their mom's basement have a forum like they do now. And Lex Luger doesn't get cheered in his feud with Yokozuna. They shit on it.
Right.
So
now here's a question I want to ask you.
It is a symptom, not a cause, I guess is what I'm saying.
But see, now here's the question I want to ask you. Do you think that if in 1988, 1989, had there been, because in 1993 there was a lot more smart fans,
mm-hmm.
and they knew how the business worked. And do you think that Hulk Hogan would have been over?
Hulk Hogan's run, I don't think, would have been as long in the internet age, or put it this way, I think his hand would have been forced quicker to a heel turn in the internet age.
See that, and that's the interesting thing about it. Again, and I've said it before, is it the fact that we, as fans, are more interested in the behind the scenes than what is going on the product?
Could be. Actually, it sounds funny, but the behind the scenes isn't even as interesting as it used to be.
No, well, yeah, true. This is...
Everybody goes back to their hotel room and plays video games. There's no cool stories anymore. And nobody's like, making fuss backstage in the WWE. They essentially work for Disney at this point. They're Muppets on the Disney show.
Well, speaking of Disney, I think it's pretty interesting that we started to have the seeds of a Batista versus Triple H for Mania.
Yeah, I think it's happening.
Oh, it definitely is going to happen because right now, fucking Batista's the biggest fucking star, probably
other than Dwayne.
Wrestling well, but not even Dwayne though, because think about it, Batista is Drax in fucking the Marvel movies. So right now, especially with this new Marvel movie coming up, and you're going to have the trailers and shit starting to drop right when fucking WrestleMania comes around. Batista's going to be the biggest fucking thing.
And hopefully he doesn't be Blue Tista.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it just seems funny that, for as much as they think they're on the cutting edge, they have to still go back to...
Oh, yeah. Yep, because they haven't spent any time creating new stars. The new stars just seem like a backdrop to whenever old stars come around for WrestleMania now. That's the new formula.
Well, yeah, because think about when Tyson and Austin were in the ring together, it was not just a big deal because it was fucking Tyson, but because of Austin.
Cold Stone.
Oh, those two were, I think, at the same level.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like the lexicon and pop culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Your fucking grandma knew who Stone Cold Steve Austin was.
My grandma had a crush on Vince McMahon.
And Kurt Angle.
And Kurt Angle, yeah. Our grandma loved Vince.
Kurt Angle's a good-looking young man.
She loved her some Vince McMahon, too. Like, is that Mr. McMahon going to be on tonight?
Yeah. It was Mr. McMahon, Kurt Angle, and Mae Young and Moolah.
Yeah. I couldn't do that.
Remember, she thought they were in a costume. I was like, no, Grandma.
They're actually that
old ladies. They're just old.
Old badass bitches.
Yeah.
Well,
turns out one's a horrible human being.
But hey, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Oh well, fucking everybody in the wrestling business has been a horrible human being.
Everybody in general is a horrible human being. So Aaron, you got to go first last week, so I'm going to let Kyle go first this week.
Okay, I can do that.
So who's going in the middle?
Do you want second shot or do you want the main event?
I don't care.
You can be the main event this time.
Okay, because my show's like actually good.
Yeah, well, and you just started drinking, so you're by the time you get to your show,
you'll be feeling good.
All right, so when we come back, Kyle will review what Super Brawl 90. Everybody got WCW this time. I just noticed that.
Yep.
Super Brawl 97, right?
Yes.
And Aaron, you had Halloween Havoc 89.
1989.
All right.
Way to be prepared for your own show.
So when we return, Kyle will review Super Brawl 97 for us, and we'll be right back with the We Can't Wrestle podcast. All right, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play. Anywhere you want to download your favorite wrestling podcast, do so with this one. Just give us a good rating. 5 stars, please. And comments. It helps the exposure for the show. Gets the word out there. So we're going to do pay-per-view reviews this week. And Kyle got Super Brawl 1997, WCW, in their heyday.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kyle, get us started.
All right. So, we're coming to you live from the Cow Palace. And it was really cool because like they spent a lot of time at the beginning talking about, especially Bobby the Brain, talking about this is the house that Roy Shire built and the matches between Pepper Gomez and Ray Stevens and everything. So, it automatically starts to feel like it's a big deal that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought was really fucking cool, man, was at the beginning of the show, you see like the set design and everything. The way they had it set up was they had fans above the set. If you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it, there was 13,324. So it made it feel like they could not fit everybody in the regular seats. They had to, it just made it feel like fucking packed.
Made it feel special.
Yeah, it was really cool because you never really see that. I mean, you kind of see it at the Garden every once in a while, but they're not up above.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we're talking tonight is the biggest return match in the century. It's Roddy Piper.
The match we've all been waiting for.
Yeah. It's the return match between Roddy Piper and Hollywood Hogan for the title this time. So, yeah.
This was the we'll get to it later. I just want to confirm this was the pay-per-view where during the build-up to the pay-per-view, Piper did his crazy Alcatraz videos.
Yes, because we actually open on that. He's in fucking Alcatraz in a ripped-up, dirty shirt.
Is there anything better than Crazy Piper? Like,
no, there's not. It's fucking. Matter of fact, he comes out to the ring in a fucking dirty shirt, and it's just like, what are you doing?
He woke up in Alcatraz with the dirty shirt. He was like, "Oh, finally, this is happening. There's actually cameras here."
Well, and what's fucked up is they say that he spent 7 days and 7 nights in Alcatraz, and it just didn't sound right to me. I was like, shouldn't it be 6 days, 7 nights?
It depends. It depends on what he won there on Wheel of Fortune.
Well, but anyways, so...
A lot of candy bars and cigarettes in Alcatraz.
What, are we too close to Portland?
What is the real...
What is
my favorite story ever, man?
And it's fucking great because you see Piper fucking running down the stairs of Alcatraz, and you just see all the guards that are hired actors just not even looking at the camera. They're fucking faced away. And Piper jumps on a boat, and he's fucking coming towards the Cow Palace.
And one of those actors was a young CM Punk.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It wasn't. I was just saying. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So, the beginning contest is Six versus Dean Malenko, which I thought was fucking great to see because
two of the best bell-to-bell workers of all time.
Like, we're gonna open this motherfucker. We're gonna open this motherfucker.
Kyle, you definitely got the better WCW pay-per-view than I did. But anyway, go ahead.
We gotta make him forget about that. We gotta make him forget about that 40-minute segment where Piper didn't know how to get out of Alcatraz.
He got lost.
like Spinal Tap.
But so Dean Malenko is champion, but Six has stolen the belt, so he comes out with the belt. And I mean, they pick it up. You could tell that like. This is fucking classic Dean Malenko and classic fucking Sean Waltman, too.
Well, those guys had worked together before. Fuck, Malenko's dad trained Sean Waltman, so...
And it was nice to see because you didn't really get it... I mean, it's just me, or it didn't seem like Six really fought a lot of the cruiserweights a lot of the time. He was more
Well, a lot of time he just played.
WCW run was weird.
Yeah, a lot of time he played backdrop, and not to get off the topic. Well, I mean, I guess it's still technically on topic because we're talking about Sean Waltman, but something that doesn't get talked about a lot. And Kyle, I don't know if you got to see it. I know Aaron did because we used to watch it together. But some of the best series of matches I ever saw in my life, especially as a young dude. Like, I was into Sean Waltman before he was the 1-2-3 Kid because we got GWF on ESPN. And Sean Waltman and Jerry Lynn had one of the greatest series of matches ever in that rinky-dink, shitty-ass promotion. And they were just great. Like, you want to watch two good workers, very young, learning their craft and doing very well at it. Go watch Jerry Lynn and I don't even remember what was his name in GWF.
Lightning Kid.
Lightning Kid. I couldn't remember if it was Lightning or Cannonball.
No, he wasn't Cannonball till he came to WWE.
And folks, he said Jerry Lynn, not Jerry Flynn.
Right. Nobody ever accused Jerry Flynn of having a good wrestling match.
We're going to watch an epic classic. That Cat Jerry Flynn feud.
Yeah. Or Jerry Flynn.
Take care of Ernest fucking Miller.
And then he makes that
That's
face
the
like
greatest moment. That's one of the greatest moments in the history of professional wrestling. That guy right at the camera was like, I say you take care of Ernest fucking Miller.
And then he had the I'm about to get fired look on his face.
And then he got to the back and realized nobody was watching.
Nobody was watching me in my pajama pants.
Okay, this really is off topic, but this is my favorite story Triple H ever told.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? On a podcast. Talking about being terrorizing, okay?
Okay.
And he didn't want to come into WCW as terrorizing because he hated the name. And he comes in and he's gonna do some dark matches, and Kevin Sullivan's like, look, tonight we'll just call you terrorizing, and straight he's like, I don't like that name, and he's like, don't worry, bro, it's just to get you out there and want to see what you can do, see how you look on camera and everything. And then he said a couple of days later, he was outside mowing his yard, and his girlfriend at the time was like, Paul, come in here. And WCW Pro was on, and he's coming out as terrorizing. It's on TV. So he called Kevin Sullivan, and he was like, what the fuck, Kevin? You said that wouldn't be on TV. And Kevin Sullivan's like, bro, nobody's watching that.
Bro.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. So what's cool is the ending of this match kind of plays into something a little bit later on that we'll talk about when we get to it. But so Eddie Guerrero comes down to help fucking Dean Malenko because Six is cheating, and he accidentally costs Dean Malenko the match. Mm-hmm. So Six is your new cruiserweight champion.
Legitimately.
Yeah, legitimately. So, and this is where you're going to kind of... I'm not going to say anything right now. Just tell me if you get why the booking of this is a little fucking weird, okay? So we go from that cruiserweight match to a 6-man tag team match. It's Lucha Libre rules. It's Conan, La Parca, Villano number 4 versus Juventud Guerrero, Super Calo, and Ciclope.
Which could be on any random Nitro.
Yeah.
None of which ever worked for the WWE.
You're never going to live that down.
I know. It's fine. Look, when I fucked up, all right? I'm sorry that I didn't fucking realize Juventud Guerrero was part of the Mexicools.
Sorry, you didn't either. But, it's... Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So, what can I say? It's fucking Lucha Libre 6-man tag. It's
awesome.
It sounds like, even though the match has no build, it has no purpose on a pay-per-view, to me it sounds like a fantastic match.
It is a fantastic match, but here's the problem that I had with it.
They're all the ones that Conan could get over in the van.
It seriously looks very rehearsed.
Well, every lucha match is very rehearsed.
Yeah, it looks like it's. I don't know.
Not as rehearsed as a Will Ospreay match, but rehearsed.
No, it looks like everybody's setting everybody up for something.
Right.
There's points where there's Hurricane Radas, and it's like, why is he just fucking? Oh, he's just sitting there waiting for it. Okay, like the fuck is going on here? Like it just looks like it's very choreographed.
You know what else was funny about the Lucha guys in WCW is they all used like, okay, I don't want to say all. Until you were a guy that they made into like an individual character instead of just one of the random Mexicans on the show. It's funny because they all used like one of three entrance themes.
Yeah, well, and here's what's fucked up is that you have five of the guys are in masks and look like fucking lucha libres, and you have Conan that looks like the fucking drunken uncle in his goddamn baggy pants and his fucking tank top.
Well, I mean, and also in WCW, if you were a luchador and you were in there with another luchador, you were unstoppable. But when you got in there with like Disco Inferno, you got beat in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like Eric Bischoff, he took those guys in, but he did nothing for them. You know what I mean?
Right. Except for a few. There were a select
and
few.
Those were the select few that stayed in WCW.
Right.
You know what I mean? All the other guys that were going back and forth, he never did anything with them. Except maybe La Parka and Psychosis.
No. And Conan is like the biggest trafficker of Mexicans since. That's
what I'm saying. Those are the ones that could get in the van.
Yeah, fuck, what's his name? The Mexican drug dealer guy. Anyway,
Chapo.
Yes, like Conan was like Chapo. He was like, "Hey, you come here. I need to make money in WCW, vato. So you're coming with me this week."
So every $10 you make, I get 3.
Is that yeah? Comprende? Comprende ese?
And the thing about Conan, he makes no bones about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Conan was literally a wrestling pimp. Like,
yeah. and he makes no bones about it. Like that was one of my favorite things they ever did in the Broken Universe. Was when the Broken Hardys teleported to Mexico. And they showed up, and they were going to fight the Mexican tag team champions. Like, they show up, and they're like, Conan, the Hardy Brothers are here. And, like, Conan goes out in the hallway and sees them, and he's like, look, man, you need to get some bootleg Hardy shit made quick.
Oh, at this point, though, I need to reiterate that our broadcast team is Tony Schiavone, Dusty Rhodes, and Bobby the Brain.
Oh, no Mike Tenay this time?
No.
Mike Tenay out for this match?
No.
Oh, I got no attention then.
Oh, but go back and watch this just for fucking Dusty Rhodes trying to pronounce these guys' names.
Well, that's what I was about to say. There's almost nothing funnier than Dusty Rhodes commentating for a lucha match.
Oh, we get a lot of it tonight. It's fucking great.
Drag a screw leg whip.
So, you want to take a guess at who goes over?
Probably Conan's team.
Yep.
Go figure.
My money.
Pimp wins, bitch.
I don't know how to say bitch and Punta better have my money.
Yeah, pendejo.
So then we go to a WCW World Television match. It's Prince Iaukea versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh my.
Which, and maybe I'm going to get made fun of this for this, but I didn't realize why his name is Prince Iaukea.
Because of King Curtis Iaukea?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They fucking bring that up, and I was
which is a complete insult to King Curtis Iaukea.
Actually, Kevin Sullivan was a fan of Prince Iaukea, and King Curtis Iaukea gave them permission to use that. Because he likes Prince Iaukea.
Well, somebody was a fucking fan of Prince Iaukea because Rey Mysterio Jr. He won against Rey Mysterio Jr.
Damn.
Kevin Sullivan was a fan of the guy.
But what was cool though is that Bobby the Brain Heenan has a lot of great fucking points throughout the show. I mean, it's Bobby the Brain Heenan, so whatever. But he makes the point that the fans probably want to see Rey Mysterio Jr. win because the TV champion defends on TV. So thus, if he's the champion, the fans will get to see him more.
And if Prince Iaukea is not the champion,
they don't have to see him
less.
So they're trying
Prince Iaukea, I think, had the first man bun.
I think he did
too, I think.
But have you noticed the trend here?
Bunch of Mexicans?
No, it's fucking first three matches is all high impact fucking cruiserweight action.
Well, yeah, it's because it's
you gotta keep people interested when two old fucks are gonna be in the main event.
Well, not the fucking tail end of this goddamn thing.
And plus, like I said, it's the area of the country they're in.
Well, and that's fine, but they could have spread this shit out throughout the fucking night because, get towards the end, there's some stuff, but
that's how a lot of WCW pay-per-views went. Though it was a great show, and then like after about an hour 45 minutes, it just went off the cliff.
It's like, goddamn, you could have had some of these sprawled out throughout the show to break up the monotony because there's fucking two matches coming up that, goddamn, it's something. But, so yeah, as I said, Prince Iaukea goes over Rey Mysterio Jr. Okay.
Which is just really odd, but like Aaron said, Sullivan was booking at the time, so if he liked Iaukea, you know.
Yeah. So, next we have Diamond Dallas Page versus Buff Bagwell.
Jesus Christ.
And it's a Diamond Dallas Page versus Buff Bagwell match. DDP hits Bagwell with the fucking Diamond Cutter, and here comes the NWO to come out and beat up on Diamond Dallas Page, and Bagwell's disqualified because we can't beat Bagwell.
I hated that entire feud. Like, DDP, to me, is an anomaly in wrestling in that, you know how they say Ric Flair could have a good match with a broomstick?
Yeah.
DDP was the opposite. Like, Ric Flair, and this isn't necessarily dissing DDP, but Ric Flair, and see if you follow what I'm saying, Ric Flair could get in a feud with fucking King Kong from the Awesome Kongs, alright? Feud would be over, Flair would be over, matches would be decent because he could carry that fat fuck to a good match. DDP was the opposite. DDP was the guy that always had really good feuds with guys that could carry him to a good feud. Like, he was a good second guy in the feud. Savage. Prime example.
I thought you were going to say Ric Flair could work with a broomstick and get the broomstick over. I thought you said the broomstick worked with DDP and got DDP over.
That is what I'm saying. Like, if DDP worked with the broomstick, we'd be like, damn, it's a good-ass broomstick. And that's like the story to me of DDP's career.
Did help him get over because it's probably what he used to help like sweep off Bischoff's porch.
Bang! It's me. It's me. It's DD Sweep.
If Bischoff wouldn't have got promoted, DDP would have been like when he was gone. He would have been gone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He would have got brought back.
Especially at that time, he was fat DDP. Like,
and before that, it was Dusty that liked the guy. Mm-hmm. So Dusty kept him around. You know,
I'm not trying to completely hate on DDP. DDP isn't complete garbage, but he just, I don't know. I don't know
DDP's a personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when you put DDP in the ring, it's bullshit. But like if he was like a commentator or a manager or something, I didn't mind the guy.
Mm-hmm.
DDP was an entrance.
It's when the bell rang.
Yep, when the bell rang, it depended on who he was in the ring with. I mean, I don't know if anybody in the entire world would ever say DDP had a better feud than the feud he had with Randy Savage.
No.
But anyway, go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
So now we go to our match, to my personal match of the night. It's Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Jericho for the United States Championship.
How do you go wrong?
How do you go wrong? And here's what's interesting. Both of them are faces in this. And this is where I was talking about earlier that it'll come up later because like through the entire match, Eddie Guerrero just seems like he can't shake off Chris Jericho. And Bobby Heenan brings it up perfectly. Like, hey, you need to forget about what happened with your friend Dean Malenko earlier and worry about Chris Jericho.
Right.
So it was fucking beautiful storytelling. But it was weird watching both of them be fucking baby faces. But you start to see kind of like the seeds of Chris Jericho turning heel.
Mm-hmm. Doing some dirty tactics or whatever.
Yeah. But easily fucking match of the night. It's Eddie Guerrero, it's Chris Jericho.
You can't, I mean, seriously. I mean, it's very rare in wrestling where you can say, well, you put these two guys together, it can't go wrong. But, you know, Jericho, Guerrero, Flair, Steamboat, you know, yeah, you're right. You just can't go wrong. Austin Rock.
Little Beaver.
What'd you say, Aaron?
Fundy Little Beaver.
Oh, Jesus.
Probably the noise Little Beaver made.
So then we go to a fucking horrible fucking match. It's the fucking worst match of the night. It's the Public Enemy versus Harlem Heat versus the Faces of Fear.
With Harlem Heat Faces of Fear in this match, I kind of am surprised by that.
It would be good. You take out the...
Well, that's the problem.
You take out the gangster bushwhackers and
that's the fucking. They only get like fucking 7 minutes, and because goddamn, we gotta have fucking our next match.
Is it a title match?
Huh?
Is it a title match, or were the Outsiders champs?
Yeah, the Outsiders champions.
Those guys should have been called the Nasty Whackers.
Well, actually, well, and what's fucked up is that the Steiners were supposed to be a part of this originally.
They got ran off the road, didn't they?
Yeah, and it was supposed to be for the number one contendership, but as they state, it's not fair to the Steiners, so we're not going to have. It's not going to be for anything. It's just the three of them wrestling. Can
I ask this question? question? Do you guys know what angle I'm talking about? When the Steiners when their car got ran off the road.
Yeah, it was garbage.
Yeah. Huh?
It was garbage.
You think it's a bad angle?
Yeah. I do. I think it's stupid.
At the time, and when I watched it, when we watched it, I laughed.
Well, of course you laughed. Just because. No. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Let me reiterate here. Okay. It's not that it wasn't funny, but it's a stupid angle. You know, there's a difference.
The way the Outsiders react is amazing.
Yes, it is. No, I'm not.
They knew something was going to happen. So they knew it was going to be like that. They didn't think the car was like going to flip.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Scott Hall's like, good thing I'm loaded.
That thing is so funny. And that's why it's one of my favorite angles ever. But go ahead.
Oh. So the Public Enemy win. The fucking Public Enemy beat Harlem Heat in the Faces of Fear.
Nah.
I repeat. The goddamn Public Enemy.
Gotta get up to get down.
Nah.
All right, so then we go
like
to
Jamie Dundee said, "Where them motherfuckers at now? They both dead."
So now we have Jeff Jarrett versus Steve McMichael. And if Jeff Jarrett wins, he becomes a horseman.
Okay. We got a horseman qualifying match here tonight.
Then Jeff Jarrett comes out to like the second worst music in wrestling history.
It's like a hoedown. It's so funny.
It's terrible.
And like they'll be talking about this serious angle, like Jeff Jarrett. No, hold on. Jeff Jarrett bloodied up. He didn't, but I'm just saying this is how it would go in WCW. Jeff Jarrett bloodied up Steve McMichael. What the fuck is going on?
It's like that and Bret Hart's music. Worst music ever.
Bret Hart and Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, goddamn.
So I'm sure this match wasn't great.
No.
And no.
Fucking better yet, it's not too long after this that fucking Jeff Jarrett's no longer in WCW. Because fucking Deborah fucking throws the briefcase in and fucking Jeff Jarrett hits Steve McMichael. So now fucking Jeff Jarrett and Deborah together. Fucking Bobby Heenan has a line on the night. He's like, I smell a divorce.
Yes. For a while there, he was Double D, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. So, moving on. Now, here's my question to you guys. Do you know what a San Francisco death match is?
Well, it could be a sexual position.
Yeah.
But
is it anything like a Cleveland steamer?
It's a Pat Patterson sexual position. You know what, Kyle?
Kyle, rusty trombone. Now.
Kyle.
Yeah.
The question you just asked us.
Yeah.
Pat Patterson once asked Brickhouse Brown in a Marriott hotel. Do you know what a San Francisco death match is?
Well, fucking Miss Jackie's in this match. I'm sure she's
having sex with a Mr. Man in the streets.
So, apparently, it's just a fucking false count anywhere.
Who's in it?
Fucking Chris Benoit with Woman versus Taskmaster with Miss Jackie and fucking Jimmy Hart.
I bet this is amazing. I know this match.
Yes, it is amazing.
This is fantastic.
But goddamn,
is this the first or the second one where they go to the bathroom?
I think this is the second one.
Kevin Sullivan was always in the bathroom.
He just wasn't always shitting. Sometimes he was just snorting stuff off the back of the
I was going to say, just standing there.
Well, okay, so...
Like, he's just standing in the back. Like, if I walked in and Kevin Sullivan was just standing in the bathroom, I'd be like, do I have to solve 3 riddles so I can shit?
Well, see, this is my problem with WCW.
Is Brutus Beefcake in here? Is Brutus Beefcake in here?
They fucking keep naming shit stupid, like San Francisco death match. Like, the fuck? They had the Chicago street fight. It's like, no, it's a fucking street fight. You don't, like, there's no different rules.
Well, and that's
the worst offender is the Yavapai Indian strap match.
Well, that's one of the things that it was. That's one of the things that didn't translate well from territory wrestling to national wrestling. You know?
Yeah.
Because when it was just the Texas territory, and you were in Dallas, and it was only going to be shown in Dallas to people in Dallas, Texas deathmatch makes sense. But when you're in Poughkeepsie, New York, a Texas deathmatch doesn't make sense. And then especially when you are in San Francisco and you just make up that there's a San Francisco deathmatch on a pay-per-view, a national pay-per-view, yes, you're right. They should have just said a death match between them.
Yeah. Because it makes it sound like, oh, this is going to have different rules than a traditional death match.
If it's a San Francisco death match, there should be drag queens involved.
And then I'm really fucking curious because, you know, looking back in hindsight, the fact that Benoit and women are in a fucking death match.
Well, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
And maybe they thought Jackie was a drag queen.
Well, so basically, long story short is woman and fucking Miss Jackie get into a fight, fucking Taskmaster and Benoit are in the back. Basically, the way it ends is everybody's fucking knocked out and they're all carried out on stretchers.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Schiavone calls it the commode. A couple times he's like, they're fighting in the commode. And listening to Tony Schiavone then, you know, I thought he was just like an idiot, you know. But listening to his podcast now, Nate, you know how like we were talking about Dusty?
Mm-hmm.
Or Dusty seemed aloof or whatever.
Right.
But as you get older, you realize Dusty knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he was being funny. Fucking Tony Schiavone knew he was being funny. Like when he'd say stuff like, they're in the commode, he knew that was funny. Because you know what he said the other day, and I never thought about it? He was like, Conrad, we were on pay-per-view, so why couldn't I just say, oh, you just hit him in the fucking head? He's like, what would they have done about it? We're on pay-per-view. He's like, we should have just been able to be like, Jesus fucking Christ, you just hit him in the nuts.
But earlier when I said that they should have spread some shit out, this is what I was talking about. Fucking Public Enemy and goddamn Jeff Jarrett.
Well, yeah, that's bad, but I liked the street fight.
No, I did too, but my point is that, like, it's fucking all, like, cruiserweight action
Can I say
and then...
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
This will be really quick, and it's just a statement. If anybody elaborates on it, that's fine. If not, it doesn't matter. But like I told you guys, when I watch old wrestling, I watch it chronologically, okay? And right now, I am in the year 1995. I'm in, I think, I just got done with King of the Ring 95, so I'm in, like, middle of 95, okay? And what I want to say, because we absolutely, and rightfully so, we absolutely dissed the Public Enemy on this show. But I dare you, as me watching 1995 ECW, to find me an act in ECW, just ECW, that was ever more over than those fucking guys.
In ECW, who was more over?
Yes. In that company, there was never an act that was more over than Public Enemy.
I don't know. BWO was pretty over.
Oh, no. Go back and watch Public Enemy from
they were just over for a short period of time. I'd say probably...
Go back and watch. I mean, I would say maybe RVD and Sabu are up there.
No, I think it's Sandman.
No. I disagree, and you can, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but just from my perspective, watching this shit through 95, Public Enemy is so much more over than Sandman. Public Enemy with that crowd at that time and that year was...
Oh, you're just saying that year? I thought you meant like overall.
No, they were over as fuck. Like,
for a year.
It sure didn't fucking transfer over to fucking
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And it's just one of those. Okay, and it sounds like a silly. It sounds like a silly comparison because of the level of star they were and the level of talent they had. But you're right, Kyle. I mean, you take Public Enemy out of ECW, and it's a completely different thing, and it's just garbage. It is. It is literally, to me, like Bret Hart being taken out of the WWF and put into WCW. Like, Paul Heyman knew what to do with Public Enemy, and his crowd fucking loved Public Enemy. I'm not even saying they were good. I'm not contesting. I don't like Public Enemy. Quite frankly, they annoy the fuck out of me. All I'm saying is, for the ECW audience, those guys were over as fuck.
Yeah, well, their promos were annoying.
Yes. Oh, no, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I am not a fan. I'm not a fan at all, but I'm just putting them in that perspective, in that time frame, in that promotion. That audience loved those guys. They never should have left ECW is what I'm saying.
No, because they go to WCW where people are like, all right, yeah.
And then they go to WWF where Bradshaw and Farouk beat the fuck out of them for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then they try to go back to ECW, and they're like, hey, aren't you the guys that got the fuck beat out of you?
Right, now they look like a couple of bitches. Yeah, they never should have left ECW. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Kyle.
You look like a couple of bitches, you look like a couple of blimps. How much weight you two put on.
So next we go to what is supposed to be Lex Luger and the Giant versus the Outsiders. But Lex Luger hasn't been cleared for competition. Long story short,
he failed a piss test.
Pretty much.
All right, so Lex Luger and the Giant in a tag match.
Yep. So basically, it's that. Long story short, Luger isn't cleared to compete, so he's not in the match technically, but he ends up coming down about 3/4 of the match in. He comes down to help Giant, puts them in the torture rack. They win. Then the next night on Raw, Eric Bischoff says, "Hey, you weren't cleared to compete, so."
Right. It's invalid. And they fought the Outsiders, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, there's your fucking tag team championship. I mean, it's fucking sad. Actually, you got it right there. Tag team champion shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like when WCW would do that garbage with like just like random dudes winning the tag. I don't even want to say random dudes, but I could be like, oh, you got a guy from WCW and a guy from the NWO as the tag team champions. And it's like, this doesn't work for me. And then they both find a partner and they're going to tag up to be the champs. I don't know.
They were fucking fans of doing that in 98.
Yeah, they were.
Because fucking Thing and Giant were fucking champions together. And yeah.
Yeah, it's some hot garbage.
So... now we move on to our fucking main event of the evening. It's Hollywood Hogan versus Roddy Piper.
Brother.
Yeah. Oh, buddy, is this some bullshit.
You know what sucks is they're two of the best of all time. But with that WCW booking, sometimes it just did not work. It didn't work.
What? Okay, answer me this question. Back in the heyday, when it was the war that set in the score, and even WrestleMania, how long did they go? Normally?
10, 15 minutes.
Because that's about what they go 11 minutes in this one. And there's so much goddamn chicanery in this fucking match. Oh my god. All right, you ready to get into it?
Yes, bells and whistles, smoke and mirrors.
So,
whoa.
You're only smoke and mirrors.
So the fun part about this is, okay, so of course Piper's all dirty and shit. I don't know what the fuck he did in fucking Alcatraz that his goddamn shirt's all ripped up and dirty, but...
oh my.
He was the only one there.
Yeah. It's like, all right, man, it's a fucking tourist spot, but apparently you've found a way to fucking fuck your shit up. So, of course, Hogan is playing the I'm not going to face him, fuck that, walking away. Piper fucking runs out and attacks him in the aisleway, and we're off.
Off and running.
Yep. So again, this is only about 11 minutes, okay? So, So out comes Sting and Macho Man.
Yeah.
Because they had formed a fucking partnership, right?
Yes.
Fucking Macho Man says something to Sting, and Sting just fucking is like, whatever, peace, I'm out, and leaves. Okay? So Macho Man is down watching the match. You know, originally thinking, oh, he's there for Piper. No, it's a swerve, bro. So the match ends because Hogan can't drops his hands 3 times. Piper has him in the fucking
sleeper.
Yeah, thank you. Hogan is supposed to be in the ropes, but he's not. He's almost like fucking 3/4 of the way in the ring, and he's nowhere near the ropes. So they call for the bell, and it says, "Oh, Piper's won." And you see fucking Savage. I don't know if he missed it or if it was supposed to be a subtle thing. He just fucking subtly pulls fucking Hogan's leg towards the rope. As they're announcing Piper the winner, the referee can see it. And then all the commentators can say is, oh, Piper or Savage just pulled Hogan's leg into the rope. So they have to restart the match because Hogan's leg was in the rope. But it wasn't. And Hogan wins, and they proceed to beat the shit out of Piper, and Savage joins the NWO.
Can I say, and you guys can elaborate, agree, disagree, what have you. The Hogan-Piper feud in WCW, I guess not even so much the feud, the matches and the finishes in WCW between Hogan and Piper are the greatest example of politics in wrestling ever.
Yeah, I could say, yeah.
Nobody loses, but nobody wins. Like, they have these... The only person that probably had more convoluted finishes to their matches than these two was Dusty.
Yeah.
Like
well, look who's booking.
Is it Sullivan or Dusty? I think it's Sullivan at this point, but he's a Dusty guy.
Well, and I'm sure Dusty has his fucking say and has input in it.
Well, and Hogan's going, I got creative control. Piper's going, I'm not going to job to anybody ever in my fucking life except Bret Hart. So, I mean, you know, how many people in Aaron?
Yeah.
How many people did Piper ever get pinned by anybody but fucking Bret Hart after like 85?
Oh, there might have been a couple times in like 99, but I didn't give a shit.
I don't think it even happened then. Like, I really think that from 1985 until he retired.
I think in 99 he might have lost to Flair a couple times.
They lose maybe Henning.
I don't know, but I just know that when
no
he
yob.
lost to Brett, when he lost to Brett, when he got pinned by Brett, that was the first one in like a long time. Because he would just lose by disqualification.
Yeah, I was going to say he probably didn't get pinned. Brett's probably the only guy that pinned him after Mid-Atlantic.
All right, I've got a list here. You're saying after what, 19...
I'm going to say 84.
Okay. Mr. Perfect on Wrestling Challenge in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair at MSG in 1991.
Okay.
Which that was probably not on TV.
Bret Hart at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood Hogan at Super Brawl. Because he did pin him. And Judgment Day 2003, which I don't remember that.
Who does?
Scott Hall at Super Brawl.
I don't even remember that. There's a lot of WCW I don't remember. I guess I'm a WWF guy. I'm a WWF historian. Like, you bring up WWF stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I remember that. But anyway, so there it is. Super Brawl 97.
Oh, Buff Bagwell pinned him during a boxing match.
How do you pin somebody during a boxing match?
It was 1999.
That way he could say. That way he could say it doesn't count. It's a boxing match.
Like, how do you even hook the legs? You don't have the leg. You don't even have any fingers.
Pin them with that nub. So, out of 5 yeps, out of 5 Jeff Farmer yeps, how many yeps does this pay-per-view get, Kyle?
Out of 5?
Yeah. So stars, Jeff. I like to rank my shit with Jeff Farmer yeps, but stars, whatever.
I'd say 3.
3?
Yeah. Strong beginning.
I wonder if Kerry Von Erich ever pinned anybody with his nub.
It's like who was it that wanted to have the wrestling back that could never be pinned?
Jim Herd.
The Ding Dongs, or no, the Hunchbacks.
The Hunchbacks turned the Ding Dongs.
Either way, Jim Herd was a hunchback ding dong. Well, there it is.
Pizza, though.
There it is, folks. Super Brawl 97.
What he really said, Kevin Sullivan said he really said this. He was like, because he was like, they can like win the belts or whatever, and they can never be pinned because he can't pin the shoulders. And Sullivan was like, how do you get the belts off of him? And Sullivan claims that
dig a hole.
You could dig a hole in the ground and pin outside the ring.
Is Jim Herd dead?
Put the hunch in the hole and him.
Is Jim Herd dead?
No.
He should be.
We lose Dusty Rhodes, Piper.
Yeah. But Jim Herd's still kicking. Fuck that cocksucker. Pizza Hut motherfucker. Stuff his crust. Anyway.
Fucking Pizza the Hut.
Oh. So we'll take
Pizza the Hut ate himself to death.
We'll take a really quick break, and we'll come back. And Aaron is going to present us with WCW Halloween Havoc. Were you going to be the main event, or was I going to be the main event?
I'll just go next. It's okay.
Right. Halloween Havoc 1989 is coming up next on this apparently WCW pay-per-view edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We'll be right back. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And just a reminder, go ahead and like or share or whatever you want to do with it. Well, don't disparage it, but like or share our Facebook page. That gets some exposure to the podcast and gets some listeners. And also check out www.motleysoup.com, which is home of both the Motley Soup podcast and the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Check those out, and thank you very much for your support. Aaron, pay-per-view reviews.
Don't you have a YouTube page now?
Yeah, the Motley Soup has a YouTube page. We're also going to have a We Can't Wrestle YouTube page, and we are going to start doing some bonus episodes, I guess you'd say, of the Soup and the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I've made the decision that I'm going to post that on both the pages, both the feeds of these podcasts, and where the three of us are going to talk about things that are not pro wrestling. We'll talk about politics, we'll talk about entertainment, we'll talk about television, movies, comedy, whatever. We will start doing that here soon too, so stay tuned for more information on that coming soon. Now, moving on with this edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, the pay-per-view edition, apparently an all WCW pay-per-view edition. Aaron, you had the pleasure of reviewing Halloween Havoc 1989.
Yes, I did. And this is WCW Halloween Havoc 1989 from the Philadelphia Civic Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is where else would it be. They actually drew 73,000 people.
73,000 people?
Not 73,000 people.
God damn!
703,000 people.
Okay.
So, I apologize. Sorry about that. I'm not even drunk.
That's
I just
great.
spoke wrong.
That was great. It was like McMahon.
Yeah.
Or Hogan.
Yeah.
Or Phil Zacco.
The show begins with a really god-awful, cheesy graveyard graphic. And it's got like cartoon tombstones, and they say Muda Funk Sting Flair, and their spirits or whatever come out of the grave.
You know what the worst one of those ever was? The one where Tony Schiavone played a pedophile.
No, that's the best one.
I don't know. I don't remember what year that was. That was Jesus.
That was like 1992. It was either 92 or 93 because Jesse Ventura was with Tony Schiavone because he said Jesse Ventura was dressed like a proctologist. And when he makes a proctologist joke at that Halloween Havoc, and they're like doing the stand up at the beginning of it, you know, like it used to be cool when the commentators wouldn't be at the table,
right?
They'd be stand by ringside, and he makes like the proctologist joke, and there's this big lady behind him that thinks it's funny as hell. She messed her ass off. It's great. But anyway, the reason these guys are being shown is because the main event of this show is Terry Funk and the Great Muta teaming up to take on Ric Flair and Sting in an electrified thunder cage.
Woo!
Yeah. And the hosts of this show are Jim Ross and Bob Caudle. And the interviewers are Gordon Solie and Chris Cruz, who's making his WCW debut. And I have a question. Do you guys remember the movie What About Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple times where if this movie was about Bob Caudle, it would have to be called What the Fuck, Bob? And I'll point some of those out.
Well, I think at this point in his career, Bob Caudle was like probably suffering from amnesia.
I don't know.
Like, what do you think about that move, Bob? Purple.
If that movie was Richard Dreyfuss and Bob Caudle, it would have been called What the Fuck, Bob? Well, I didn't have high hopes going into this show because the opening match is Tom Zenk versus Mike Rotunda.
Oof.
Who nowadays would just be Mike Rotund. You see him lately. And when they introduce Mike Rotunda, they boo him, okay? So I'm like, all right, they really don't like Mike Rotunda, so maybe he's doing a good job as a heel. And then they introduce the Z-Man, and they boo him too. And I'm like, oh my god!
Did you say this? Did you say? Did you say this was in Philly?
Yeah, I'm like, holy shit! Philadelphia's already pissed.
Philly's a rough wrestling crowd anyway, and it was especially getting rough in the late '80s, early '90s.
So when this thing starts, I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be a horrible night. And these guys have a match that is boring as fuck. The fans don't give a shit. And they start, like, Mike Rotunda's trying to, like, stall for heat, and you can tell he realizes it's the wrong kind of heat. So he starts picking it up a little bit, and they go into the finish, and Z-Man rolls through a high cross body from Mike Rotunda, and he gets the 1, 2, 3, and the match is over. And Jim Ross says the Z-Man, who got that nickname from the ladies. Like, why the ladies would be like, he's the Z-Man? I don't know.
He just whips it out. He just unzips the Z and whips it out.
And like I said, when I know you like to do yeps, right?
Mm-hmm.
I rate things off of the last thing I ate. So this match was one chicken tender. So that match is over, thank God.
Thank God.
Mike Rotunda has a perm.
But he's in that singlet.
Yeah, his singlet, but he's got a perm. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It was just horrible. And then Jim Ross is like, let's go to the debuting Chris Cruz, who I never realized it before. He looks like the boss from Hey Dude. Remember Hey Dude?
Mr. Ernst?
Yeah, he looks like Mr. Ernst. Well, anyway, he's interviewing Bruno Sammartino because to add to this electrified Thunder Cage with Great Muta and Terry Funk versus Sting and Ric Flair, Bruno Sammartino is the referee.
Jesus.
So this pay-per-view is starting like, hey, I think I might like this. You know, There's some good shit going on. Mr. Ernst is interviewing Bruno Sammartino. Senile Bob Cottle's out there. This is going to be good. And this is when I got super excited because guess what the next match is?
What is it?
It is the Samoan SWAT team, okay, with the Samoan Savage, who is the Tonga Kid. So it's Spot 2, Samu, and King, and the Tonga Kid versus, and I put this in parentheses, the Midnight Express and Dr. Death Steve Williams. Fucking awesome team.
And the SST has Paul Heyman in their corner?
Not in this.
Oh, is it Humperdinck?
It's Sir Oliver Humperdinck, who I also have on here. I don't know if you guys remember this show on Adult Swim. He looks like that Squidbilly or the trucker hat.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
Woo!
And so Sir Oliver Squidbilly and the Samoan SWAT team, they come out and they do a fire dance, which is actually pretty badass. Fire dance is pretty fucking cool. And then the Midnight Express come out, and Jim Cornette says the Doctor is the most dangerous wrestler in the world, and that Sweet Stan and Beautiful Bobby, they wrecked more homes than Hurricane Hugo. Like, that's a great line. And the Midnight Express, they're wearing these tights that remind me of, like, you know, because we saw them in the 80s, like the early to late 80s, too, because they hadn't quite replaced them yet. But remember them, like, old-ass vending machines that would just have, like, brown, green, and orange, and, like look like a rainbow, and it just said snacks?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what their tights look like. Like, it doesn't tell you what's in it, or you can't see it. It just says snacks. If you guys do know what I'm like, I'm not.
It's 5 old bags of Chex Mix and a bottle of Shasta Orange.
Yeah, and the thing just says snacks. Well, anyway, this match starts, and it starts amazing because the Samoan SWAT team will not settle the fuck down, and like Tommy Young cannot get them to concentrate on the match. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is the most realistic I've seen anybody do anything with, like, the Samoans, like the Samoan Savage type character ever. Because, like, you know, usually, like,
they're just unhinged.
Huh?
They're unhinged.
Yeah, like in WWF, like the Islanders, like the bell would ring and Haku would go and stand on the corner and he'd wait for the tag and everything. Not Fatu Samu and Tonga Kid, man, they were like, we're just gonna go nuts. And it took forever to get like Tommy Young to settle them down. And you had Dr. Death out there, and he was all fired up. And, like, it took these guys a good 3 minutes to even get this match going. And it finally starts happening, and it's going on. And Bob and Jim Ross is talking about how good the Midnight Express is doing. And Bob Caudle's like, they're the tag team, man. They're the tag team. And this is where you get a what the fuck, Bob moment, because he goes, I love me some Sweet Bobby and Beautiful Stan. Anybody realize what I just said? Sweet Bobby and Beautiful Stan. You fucked that up. So it's going on. It's kind of like just a Midnight. It would be what you would expect from like a Midnight Express tag team match. A little bumping going on. They're doing their thing, and then Stan tags in Dr. Death, and Dr. Death just comes in. He just fucks him up some Samoans, and he's throwing those guys around. It's going really good, and then they're tagging in Stan Lane, and then Stan Lane selling for some more these guys, and then it turns into a brawl again. They all wind up in the ring, and then they wind up outside, and then Bobby Eaton takes an amazing flying mare hip toss to the concrete, like they like brawl into the aisle, and Fatu just Nate, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Fatu doesn't and I know Bobby was in on it, but I don't think Bobby understood where he was at. Like, I think he knew the spot they were going to do it, but I don't think Bobby completely got over the way he wanted to, because Bobby, when he goes over, it's just like an audible just smack. Like that guy, and like the rest of the match, every time he hits the ropes, you can audibly hear him wince. Like I think he fucked himself up.
He got straight up fucked up.
Yeah, and it was great. And so Bobby's selling a little bit more, and ends up tagging it. Like basically in this match, Bobby Eaton was just doing everything that he ever saw Ricky Morton do. You know what I mean?
Well, Bobby Eaton is one of the greatest ever.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's what he's doing in this match. He's playing the part of Ricky Morton that Ricky Morton would play in their matches. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Eaton eventually ends up getting the hot tag to Steve Dr. Death Williams. And this is a series of events that I thought was seriously going to be the end of this match. Dr. Death tags in. He hits a clothesline on the Tonga Kid. Then he press slams Fatu. Then he body slams Samu. And then he press slams King Tonga above his head and throws him into Samu and Fatu. And then as Tonga Kid pops up, he hits the Oklahoma Stampede on him.
That should be the end of the match.
And that happened like in the matter of like 15 seconds. It's just like bing, bang, boom, boom, boom. It's fucking amazing. And that should have been the finish, but it's not. Some chicanery happens with Cornette and Squidbilly. And Cornette hits Squidbilly with his racket on the because like the thing that threw me off from the match was Steve Williams hit all that, and then he tagged in Stan Lane. Like that didn't make sense to me. But anyway, then when the Cornette Squidbilly stuff happens, the Samoan SWAT team Samu comes up from behind because Lane's watching Humperdinck and Cornette. Why wouldn't you? And Samu gets him from behind with like a Mil Mascaras type forearm.
Yeah, I just say something real quick for the record.
What?
Ever since you started the narrative of Humperdinck as a Squidbilly, through this whole match, I just picture him with a MAGA hat.
Does he not look like that Squidbilly?
He does, but I put a MAGA hat on him, and it's even better. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just
okay. I interrupt you guys all the time. But Samu hits like this move, like you know what the Mil Mascaris thing I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where he hits him like with two of his hands or whatever. It's like the only move that he does where he leaves his feet or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, he hits Stan Lane in the back of the head with one of those, and then he pins him 1, 2, 3, and that's how the match ends. It's
very anticlimactic.
Yeah. But see, people were into it because they were still going off of the what the fuck did Steve Williams just do? Now the heel managers are fighting each other, so I might not be doing it justice, but to visually see it, this fucking match was perpetual action, and it was all believable, and it was all really, really good, and I gave it 3 chicken tenders.
All right.
Wow, 3 chicken tenders.
Yes. So now we got Gordon Soley, who he doesn't know why he's still here. He's just waiting to smoke a joint with
Where's the Dusty finish? Where's my Pall Malls?
The Dusty finish is what he gave one of the rats in the hotel.
After he smoked a Pall Mall.
But anyway, this pops up on the screen, and it's amazing. It's Gordon Soley interviewing Gary Young. Not Gary Young, sorry. Gary Hart and Terry Funk.
I was like, damn, Gary Young?
Not Gary Young. That dude never got out of Texas. It's Gary Hart and Terry Funk. They're the ones getting interviewed.
Gary Hart, probably the second blackest white man ever in wrestling history next to Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Like Gary Hart would be like, let me say something, my brother. Kabuki. My Kabuki.
And he always had a blade on him.
Kabuki got some soul.
Good.
Kabuki is Asian, but he got some soul. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then, Terry Funk was just talking about this electrified. I keep bringing up that the Thunder Cage is electrified for a reason. Anyway.
I'm sorry, and we'll get back to what you're saying, and I know we have a show to record here. But this is something that I have been thinking about and observing for almost a year. And this is the kind of old school wrestling fan I am, folks. I have always said that my 2 favorite promos in wrestling ever, or three favorite promos in wrestling ever, for varied reasons. My favorite promo is Dusty Rhodes. My second favorite promo is probably Dwayne Johnson, just because of, again, varied reasons. And then, of course, Flair / Hogan for different reasons. But I have. There have been times lately where I've gone back and forth between Dusty and shoot up the fucking spectrum Terry Funk.
Oh, Terry Funk's
and Dusty is Dusty. And Dusty is still my favorite promo, but there's times where Terry Funk almost edges in there in that, here's what I'll say. Dusty Rhodes was the best promo, larger than life, talk you into an arena promo. Terry Funk is hands down the most realistic promo in wrestling history, because Terry Funk just talks.
Yeah.
Like, Terry Funk's just like, well, I was over there. And he'll just take his face from the mic. He doesn't give a fuck.
And he gets fired up when he needs to be fired up. And
he's almost right there. Him and Lawler, too. I mean, Lawler, if you watch old Lawler stuff from Memphis, just, it's not theatrical like Flair and Rhodes and Hogan. It's just a guy talking to you.
Yeah.
So
Terry
anyway,
Funk's mine, and there's
That was a sidetrack, but
it's okay. Terry Funk he waffles in between 1 and 2 for me because it's like him and Piper.
Mm-hmm.
Just Piper was insane, but they have a nice little paper. They have a cool little interview, and I like Gary Hart and Terry Funk together.
Yeah,
and so we go from seeing Gary Hart, Terry Funk, and Gordon Solie together, which is a who's who of the wrestling business. And we go into our next match, which is the Cuban Assassin versus Tommy Rich.
You can skip it if you want.
So I say this is a why the fuck not, whatever. Like, why is this match happening?
This is just the dipping sauce for the chicken finger.
No, it is not. It's not even the chicken. No. And
this is ordering. This is ordering the chicken finger.
This is another what the fuck, Bob, Richard Dreyfuss moment.
This is the waiting for the chicken fingers to arrive.
There you go.
He says, Bob Caudle says, Tommy Rich told me that he's come back to be the world champion again, and Jim, I really think he can do it.
You should retire, Bob.
And as they're trying to say that this is like this comeback story for
this
Tommy
is
Rich,
Jim Ross's first. Oh my god.
Jim doesn't really acknowledge that he said it, but he's not rude about it. But Philadelphia is, because right when the bell rings, like they're quiet before the bell rings for everything,
mm-hmm.
and then right when it's like ding 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 ding, the entire time they're like, Tommy Rich sucks. Tommy Rich sucks. And what made me laugh about it was they said his entire name. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Tommy sucks.
Yeah. Or Rich sucks.
Rich sucks. They were Tommy Rich sucks. And then Tommy Rich wins with the Lou Thesz press, and I gave this match no chicken tenders. Next up, Gordon Solie interviews the NWA World Tag Team Champions, Gorgeous Jimmy and Michael PSAs, the Fabulous Freebirds, and Jimmy Garvin misspeaks. He starts his promo out with what he does in every promo, and it's always amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy starts every promo with, yeah, yeah, yeah. He used to be better when he wore the big white mittens, the Mickey Mouse gloves. It made his hands look 10 times bigger. But anyway, he ends up saying that we're the best tag team today. But he forgot to say in the world.
Yeah.
So he just said, but he caught what he said. He's like, we're the best tag team today. And we'll still be the best tag team tomorrow, baby. He caught himself, but it made it just sound like just out of this situation. You know, right here in this building right now.
Thanks, Jimmy.
We're the best tag team. But anyway, they didn't say who they were fighting, so I didn't know. It turns out because the Freebird problem about themselves. I don't even in the whole thing. I don't even mention their. But they're fighting the Dynamic Dudes, who are managed by Jim Cornette. And there's a lot of hair action going on in this match. It made me remember that at one time Shane Douglas was actually really good. People can't deny that.
Although Jim Cornette, I always thought Jim Cornette with the Dynamic Dudes was really stupid.
Oh, the gimmick was stupid. Like,
I actually prefer Jim Cornette with Mantar over Jim Cornette with the Dynamic Dudes.
and the narrative of it is they were trying to get Jim Cornette was managing both the Dynamic Dudes and the Midnight Express as they were faces.
Right.
And then it was going to come down and Cornette turned on the Dynamic Dudes, and Jim Herd or whoever thought, oh, now people are going to be into the Dynamic Dudes. And when Jim Cornette finally hit Shane Douglas with the tennis racket, it was like the loudest pop. And that had happened, and like they got like Road Warrior pop.
Go figure. Go figure.
They're like, oh no.
But at one time, Shane Douglas was really good. From about '89 to probably, I'd say, when he went back to ECW, and started doing a total just fuck Ric Flair stuff.
Shane Douglas is I'm gonna get off track again for a second. Shane Douglas is an anomaly. An anomaly. Shane Douglas is an anomaly in that at one point in his career, he was a promising, fantastic, young, up-and-coming professional wrestler. And then he stopped being that. He started getting chubby, and he started doing a lot of the same shit in the ring over and over and over again, and it seemed like he didn't care in the ring, but he became, for probably, I would say from like 96 until early 98, he did become one of the best promos in the business.
Yeah.
Like, after Dean Douglas, when he went back to ECW, like his early ECW stuff where he was just kind of bitter against whatever. I mean, yeah, I know it was revolutionary and everything, but it really didn't catch my attention. But as he formed his talent in his brain or whatever, when he went back to ECW after Dean Douglas and became the franchise with the ponytail and the tassels and all that stuff, like, he became one of the best promos in the business, but he was like a garbage, like he was a shitty wrestler. Like, it's like he lost his talent for bell to bell, but he gained this charisma that...
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just...
Like I said the last time we were on here, I said if you would have taken like 1993 Shane Douglas in the ring and put like 1997 Shane Douglas personality in him, that guy could have...
Yeah, he could have had a killer fucking career.
Yeah.
But by the time he got to WCW during the Russo era, he was so gone into his psychosis or whatever, you know, like he was still it would have never worked. Anyway.
Then you got Johnny Ace, who was decent. Johnny Ace wasn't a horrible wrestler.
He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't good.
That's why I said he was decent.
All right.
That's the definition of decent. Jimmy Garvin, I know, Nate, you don't like him, but I've always been a Jimmy Garvin fan.
I don't dislike Jimmy Garvin.
He was always good. And then you had Michael Hayes, who was there. I would classify him in the same thing that we just said about Diamond Dallas Page.
Hayes?
Yeah. He has a great mind for the business. I think he knows what other people should do. And I think if you just have him in a managerial role or whatever, Michael Hayes, you could classify him as one of the greatest people walking on the planet. But when you put Michael Hayes in the ring, tell me the one... This was a great match because Michael Hayes was in it match.
All I could point to be perfectly honest with you, is Dallas in like 86.
And it wasn't because Michael Hayes was in it.
No. I disagree with that. I think that
because I'm talking the match itself. It was because Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy were in there. And Michael Hayes would talk to people in the building, and then Terry Gordy and Buddy would go out there and they'd work their ass off.
Do
everything they needed to do.
You're right. The Freebirds were... You're right.
Either one of them could cut a promo.
The Freebirds were three men equaling Ric Flair.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I agree.
Oh, I know I'm right. That's why I said it.
Hey.
And Philly was obviously bird crazy. They didn't want anything to do with the dynamic dudes. And this match was decent. It was okay.
Why would they?
Garvin sneaked in a pin on Johnny Ace and retained the titles. And I'd give these guys 2 chicken tenders. And then up next, Chris entered the Steiner brothers, and they're getting ready. They just a woman just turned on Rick Steiner, and turned out that Robin was actually just trying to swindle Rick out of his money, everything like that, and she's become woman. So this is her big elaborate pay-per-view debut as woman with her new tag team Doom that we haven't seen yet. And Rick Steiner says something that I don't know if it came out wrong or if he actually meant to say what he wanted to say. But Chris Cruz was saying, hey, woman's going to be out there. And he says that their name's appropriate Doom because they are doomed tonight. And if I get a chance, I'm going to get woman down and I'm going to give it to her. That's what he said. You guys still there?
Oofa.
Nate, you still there? Probably lost Nate again.
Probably.
I don't know if he... Hold on.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello?
Where'd you go?
I'm here.
Nate?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
You weren't showing up on my thing.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if we were recording. Did you hear how I said Rick Steiner said?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't hearing anything, so you can edit out that.
Okay.
It just sounded, from my end, it sounded like you guys weren't there. So basically, Rick Steiner said that he was going to, if I get a chance, I'm going to woman down and I'm going to give it to her.
Well,
so I read that as he's going to rate woman.
No, he's slow. He's not all there.
Does that excuse his deplorable behavior?
Yeah.
It kind of does.
Ooh.
That is not acceptable.
He has to get it somehow. So it's kind of like a dog. You just got to let it finish.
with its little earmuffs on.
It is not acceptable. Not even in 1989. But anyway, so
it's like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's best if you just let him finish.
So up next, we're gonna get the beginning of, in my opinion, is one of the first things I think about when I think about WCW, not NWA. WCW is the Steiner Brothers versus Doom. It's like it's a bad thing, Nate.
Huh? No, I didn't.
It's a bad thing. These guys had amazing matches.
They did. But do you know what? No, go ahead. Talk about this.
That's what I'm doing. So Doom comes out and they make the big elaborate debut, and I would make it the equivalent of like they brought out the machines in the WWE or WWF. The commentators are pretending like they don't know who they are, but everybody knows this is Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, because like the two big jacked up black guys. Obviously, you know who that is. And they don't have their cool horn music yet. That's still to come. And this match is really good, but it's not like what you would see in the future, because they weren't used to working together yet, and they didn't have the rhythm. This is the first time. on TV or whatever they did it. But it was still really good. And Scotty gets a Frankensteiner on Butch Reed. And Butch Reed rolls out. And Scotty goes after him. And then Woman, he gets up on the apron. And Rick Steiner has his back to the camera, but I can tell what he's doing. Because he takes his hands in front, like of his crotchal area, and motions like he wants a BJ.
like his state paid handler would be like, no, Rick.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that.
We don't do that. So he makes the gesture of wanting a blowjob, and obviously Philadelphia is like, yeah, but Woman wants none of that. She's like, no. And then some other stuff happens, and Rick turns his back for a couple seconds because he's going to help Scotty, and Woman puts a disc of some sort in Ron Simmons' mask, and he does the old school assassin deal and headbutts him with it. And Doom gets the pinfall on the Steiner brothers, which is a big deal. And I would give this match 2.5 chicken tenders. So I hope they appreciate that.
That's a good amount of chicken.
Yes, it is. And then the interview is Lex Luger. And I actually took notes on this interview because I had to go back and watch it because I didn't realize what just happened. It's amazing. Gordon Solie is interviewing Lex Luger, and I don't think Gordon Solie wanted anything to do with Lex Luger. Okay?
I'm sure he didn't.
Because right at the beginning of the interview, Lex Luger is the United States champion, all right? And this is actually the best time that I think Luger ever had in his career, was when he was the U.S. champ in like 89, 90, and was like a heel. Mm-hmm. This was the time I enjoyed him the most. But he says he's Lex Luger and he can't be beat. Okay?
Right.
And then Gordon Solie goes, how many times have you been the champ? And Luger says, I'll be the champ as long as I want. And then he walked away. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's how Luger ended the promo. Mm-hmm. And then Gordon Solie goes, you've been the champ 3 times. That means you can be beat. I was like, oh, snap. Gordon Solie just cast some shade on somebody.
Right, that's that's like DX. He
doesn't do that.
That's like DX burying Chris Masters.
Yeah, he was like, you've been the champ 3 times. That means you can be beat. Back to you, Jim Ross.
Jim Ross.
He cast some shade. It was awesome. And Luger is defending. Up next, he gets Flying Brian Pillman. And it is not a bad match. And I can be completely out of left field on this. But when I was watching it, everything they were doing with Luger at this time is exactly what I think they should do with Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Like, he is just this big, muscled up guy that all these chicks dig because of how he looks. And he comes out there, and he's just this big, cocky, arrogant jock. And he goes, you know what? I'm better looking than all of you. I'm exactly what a wrestler's supposed to look like.
That's one of the reasons that Reigns doesn't work is because he just comes off as a complete fucking douchebag.
But they present him as a face.
Right.
You know what I mean? If they presented him as a heel, it would work.
And then eventually get over as a face.
Yeah. He'd eventually get over.
But who's going to main event WrestleMania?
Roman Reigns is a heel.
No, he has to be. The baby face has to come out, Aaron, at the end. I mean, he's got to be. God damn it. What about the T-shirts?
Okay. Well, I'm just saying. That's what I think. And then this match, Luger did a really good job in it because he sold it like he thought he was just going to come out there and Brian Pillman was this little guy, and I'll take him real quick. And he didn't realize that Brian Pillman was really good. You know what I mean? He underestimated Brian Pillman, and there was even a couple points in this match where he runs away from Brian Pillman because he's like, "Holy shit, I didn't think this guy was going to be like this." Mm-hmm. And they're having their match, and Luger doesn't even win with a torture rack or a pile driver. He wins with a hot shot because Brian Pillman goes for a drop kick that he barely, Luger brushes him off, barely, and Pillman hits the ground. And as soon as Pillman gets up, he hits the hot shot, pins him 1, 2, 3, and then grabs his United States title. Like, he runs out of the ring, grabs his belt, looks in the ring for like half a second, like, Jesus Christ, and then hauls ass. Because he wants to make sure. Huh?
Hightails it.
Yeah, he hightails it because he wants to make sure there wasn't a fluke that he even got that pinfall.
Right.
Luger did a really good job in this match. Pillman did a really good job in this match. And I really like the fact that that story was being told. So these guys got 2.5, and I actually wrote this down, 2.5 chicken tenders with some dipping sauce.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's some dipping sauce.
What kind of dipping sauce?
Whatever kind they want. We have 3 options. Up next is Chris Cruz interviewing the Road Warriors. And it's just your typical Road Warrior promo. And they're getting ready to fight the Skyscrapers, which is the original Skyscrapers, which was Sid and Dan Spivey. And you just know this thing is going to be rough. And I do not think that the Road Warriors and Dan Spivey got along at all in real life. Because Dan Spivey at the beginning of this is all kinds of uncooperative. Like, Sid's doing his thing, Sid's just doing business, He's just doing what he's supposed to be doing, but Dan Spivey, he ain't giving those guys shit. And eventually Hawk is done with it, and he hits Dan Spivey with like a really stiff clothesline, and then the shit goes off the I know the match ended how it was supposed to end because they used Teddy Long's big golden key that he had,
right,
for Norman the Lunatic. So if there's like a gimmick like that involved in it, it was supposed to end in a DQ, but the shit goes off the rails and they start beating the shit out of each other. And it ends in a disqualification. And just because I like watching 4 big fuckers beat the shit out of each other, especially when one of them is being super uncooperative, I gave them 2 chicken tenders.
All right.
No dipping sauce.
They didn't get any dipping sauce. The only dipping sauce was for Pillman and Luger.
That's some dry-ass chicken.
And then we're going to get a Chris Cruz interview with Ric Flair and Sting. And I asked Kyle if he could hear this because I want you guys to listen to this and hear if you hear what it sounds like I think Ric Flair says at the end of this promo. You guys ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Ready? Wait, can you hear it?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, but it's very, very shrilling.
Huh?
It's very shrilling.
It's Ric Flair. Sorry, listen. Did you hear it?
Did he say tonight fucking Muda?
That's what it sounded like he said. But he said funkin' Muda.
Fucking Muda?
Fucking Muda. I want to make sure I was the only person that heard it.
That's Stone Cold before Stone Cold.
Yeah. He doesn't say it, but it sounds like he says it. He sounds like he says, tonight fucking Muda, you're going down. But anyway, they introduced this thing as a electrified Thunderdome. Remember, I've said electrified Thunderdome a couple times for a reason. And Ole Anderson is in Flair and Sting's corner, and Gary Hart is in Muta and Funk's corner, and they are called Terminators in this match. Okay.
Okay.
Because they have towels, and only they can end the match by throwing in the towel and terminating the match. See, like when you look at Terry Funk and the Great Muta versus Ric Flair and Sting, do you need to add an electrified Thunderdome and Terminators to it? No, you don't. and the more I thought about it, to us, like, Great Muta was cool and everything.
Right.
But imagine if you're a Japanese, like, in 1989, imagine you're like a 15-year-old Japanese kid, and somebody tells you, obviously in Japanese, I have this VHS tape, and it has Terry Funk and the Great Muta as a tag team.
And you're expecting so much.
You would lose your mind if you're a Japanese wrestling fan and they told you we have a match where Terry Funk and Great Muta are teaming up. Yeah, you would lose your mind. So, Muta's out first, then Terry Funk, and then Sting, and then Flair. And then this electric thunder cage drops down, and it looks really cheap, and it's got like all these like Halloween type gimmicks and chain stuff on it. And mind you, the only way you can win is by having your Terminator throw in the towel. And do you remember do you guys remember what the cage is supposed to be?
Electrified?
Yeah, they're climbing all over it. 10,000 volts. They're climbing all over it. Okay.
Christ.
The match goes. It goes. Guess how many people actually get electrocuted in this match?
None.
Nobody. Nobody gets electrocuted. And then Flair ends up getting Terry Funk in the figure four, and Sting's like hitting all these splashes off the top rope because Muta's tied up and he can't get out of it. And Gary Hart won't throw in the towel, and then Ole Anderson ends up hitting Gary Hart, and when he hits Gary Hart does the big heel flop, and when he does it, he ends up losing the towel, and then Bruno Sammartino just sees that, fly into the ring, and sees that Ole still has his towel, and that's how they end the match. So Flair and Sting win the match, and it's just abysmal. But just because of the people that are in it, I would give them 2 chicken tenders. Because it's 4 of my favorite guys ever.
That was very chicken tender of you. So how many chicken tenders did the pay-per-view get?
3 of them.
All right.
But this is like the weird, and after I talk about this, I have to pause for a minute so I can use the restroom. But anyway, Flair and Sting win this match.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what theme they exit to?
Oh. Sting?
No.
Okay.
What would be your next guess?
Flair?
No.
Oh. Well, I'm out of options.
Well, you didn't go with the obvious one.
Does he?
No. They, honest to God, leave. Like they're celebrating, leaving. And War Pigs by Black Sabbath is playing.
The Road Warriors theme?
No, the Road Warriors theme is Iron Man.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
This is War Pigs.
I don't get it.
Okay. But when the Road Warriors come out, it's not Iron Man. It's like WWE Iron Man.
Right.
But when these guys are leaving, it is actual War Pigs.
Huh.
So this gets a what the fuck, Vince? Like when they're leaving, and like, because for a minute I was like, am I really hearing War Pigs? And it's like, damn it. I'm like, this is actually pretty badass that St. Clair walking out the War Pigs. But yeah, I didn't understand it.
I don't know.
I guess since they played War Pigs at the end of the pay-per-view and it made it on the WWE Network, I'll also throw in a couple Diet Pepsis and a biscuit.
I was going to say a side of wedge fries.
Those are always drier than what you think they're going to be. So that is my pay-per-view review.
Yeah, if you're 35 and you still order wedge fries, you've learned nothing in life.
Yeah. So just get with some honey, bitch. Go sit down. I gotta use the restroom.
All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, it will be my short but very dismal review of Super Brawl 01. And we'll be right back after this on the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Ugh.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And at this point in the show, usually, because quite frankly, I drink freely during my podcast, I'm usually pretty drunk. So this is the Nate's review of Super Brawl 01, and he's really fucking drunk. So this will be fun. Are you guys ready for this?
Not really.
Yeah, these people weren't either. Because they didn't buy tickets to the show. This is in Nashville, Tennessee at the Municipal Auditorium. This is a WCW pay-per-view. Now, Kyle told us about a 97 pay-per-view where business was fucking great.
Whew.
Aaron told us of a WCW pay-per-view where maybe, just maybe, attendance wasn't great. But to be honest, bell to bell, the wrestling was probably pretty good, right, Aaron?
Bell to bell.
It was
89, 90, 91.
It was a good amount of chicken tenders, right?
It was in the ring. It was better than the WWE.
Well, Super Brawl 01, this shit is, I mean, this is fucking terrible. This is almost as bad as pro wrestling gets. We're in the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee.
8 people.
And this is a pay-per-view, folks. This is a major pay-per-view during the quote-unquote heyday of pro wrestling. I mean, this is a month removed. This is a month before, I should say, the biggest WrestleMania of ever, WrestleMania 17. And we have 4,395 people for a pay-per-view in Nashville.
Ugh.
There may have been more people at pay-per-views for WWF pay-per-views in 95. So here we go. It is Super Brawl. It is called Super Brawl Revenge. I don't know what number this is. It might be 11. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because
it's number revenge.
The booking tells you they don't care if it matters. They don't care. The tagline for this pay-per-view is A Path of Destruction, a Night of Vengeance. It's so stupid. Anyway.
That doesn't even make sense.
None of this does. We open the show and our commentators are Tony Schiavone and Scott Hudson. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't have a lot to say about the commentary because one of the biggest problems with a commentary team like this, Schiavone and Hudson are both decent commentators. Okay, I'm not taking away from either of them. But it is, to me personally, it is never a good idea. Much like when you were talking about Jim Ross and Bob Caudle, Aaron, it is never a good idea, to me personally, to have a commentary team that has no color.
Yeah.
This team is no color. They both are trying to present themselves as sports broadcasters, and God bless them for their effort. But there's nothing to say about the commentary in this pay-per-view because it's just that. It's just two guys commentating. There's nothing entertaining about it. I mean, not entertaining. I'm not trying to take away from that. Does anybody see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, and also, I mean, Tony Schiavone's gone on the record of saying before, you can only commentate for what's in front of you.
Mm-hmm. And they definitely do in this one. So we are in the height of
In fact, Tony Schiavone said that when he went back, like when he left the WWF, he was there 2 weeks and realized that he made the biggest mistake of his life, and he should have never left Vince McMahon. And from that day forward, for like that 2 weeks that he was there, he felt promised, like he felt it was promising or whatever, because I'm back and they're asking me questions about Vince and where's he got, maybe we can get that. And then 2 weeks, you realize no, that was going to happen. And then he said every week, he thought this is the day.
We're done.
This is the day they're going to come and pull the plug. So from like 91 to 2001, he thought every day, like every Friday, at the end of that week was going to be when the Turner executive came and said, you guys are out of business.
And eventually, Tony was the only one in WCW that was right.
Yeah. He called WCW a casket on wheels.
We're very close to that here. We're in the midst of the ever so unsuccessful Magnificent Seven storyline with Ric Flair at the head of his. Okay, so here's the first problem with this show. We do the same storyline 3 times in this show with 3 different programs. We show that during the pre-show, Scott Steiner, who is going to be defending the WCW Championship against Kevin Nash later in the program, takes out Kevin's knee with a steel pole. All right, so anyway,
is it cartoonishly big?
We all see, yeah, pretty much.
You had that big one for a while.
We also show that in the same vein, in the same breath, in the same pre-show, Road Warrior Animal attacks Kidman for no reason. So Kidman is out of our opening match, which is a 6-man cruiserweight match. The winner is going to get a shot tomorrow night on Nitro. That was one of the things I always hated about Attitude Era. I know this is WCW, it's just not quote-unquote Attitude Era. But the Attitude Era in wrestling, I never liked when they would do a match on a pay-per-view that would have an impact on tomorrow night's TV show, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're demeaning your pay-per-view in that vein. But anyway, Kidman is supposed to be in this 6-man cruiserweight match for a title shot tomorrow night for the cruiserweight title on Nitro, and the other participants are Evan Courageous, Kaz Hayashi, Jamie Noble,
yeah,
Shannon Moore,
all right,
and Yun Yang, which is Jimmy Wang Yang, which is one of my favorite cruiserweights of all time, as you guys know. But the funny thing about the guy that replaces Kidman in the match because he was injured by Animal is Shane Helms, Sugar Shane Helms. The match is actually really good. It's an elimination style match. It's a good cruiserweight match, other than Courageous. Everybody does a good job. Shane Helms wins the match. And essentially this is the end of the 3 count. But the match is good. The match is good. I mean, it is what it is. It's a good match, isolated. It could have done without Evan Courageous, but anyway, Helms wins the match. Then after that, they show Chavo Guerrero paying off Ric Flair and Animal, and like security camera footage to take out Kidman during or before the match.
Is Chavo the cruiserweight champion?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure because I was like, why would he pay him off and then not be the guy to replace? Okay, so he just didn't want to fight Kidman,
right?
I'm gonna try to find logic in illogical situations.
That's fine. That's fine because I did it for 3 hours. And then we have the another one of those storylines. Kyle, chime in here. Mm-hmm. Another one of those storylines that late WCW did. The constant, it's like that boring ass shit they do with the commissioner shit now in WWE. The constant struggle over the commissionership of WCW.
Which, you know, is funny because it's pretty much the fucking truth of WCW. No one knew the fuck owned it.
This is true. This is true. No one knew who was in charge.
It should have always been the cat.
So we have the current commissioner, Lance Storm, in the back with Chronic.
Wait, hold on. Lance Storm.
Lance Storm is the commissioner. Now, later on tonight, he's defending his commissionership against the cat. Because the commissionership at this point in WCW is like a title. Like, it's like a championship.
Did they put it on a pole?
Huh?
Did they put it on a pole?
No, they didn't. Rousseau was gone by this point. Actually, I think everybody was gone by this point. I think Klondike Bill was booking at this point.
That would have been a panty on a pole match.
Dirty panties on a pole.
I think the only thing worse than this is probably when they had fucking Sting as the president of WCW.
I don't even fucking remember that.
Yeah, because he beat Ric Flair for it.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it happened.
Well, Lance Storm, our commissioner at this point, is
in real life. It was just whoever showed up to the office last.
Yeah, it's like the mayor of a small town. If you find him dead, if you find the mayor dead, you're the mayor.
You're the new mayor. Fuck.
Now that would have been funny to see backstage. It's like fucking everybody walking past the dead fucking
commission.
Everybody
trying to pin it on everybody else.
Either that, or every time somebody be like, "Oh god damn it, I found Kevin," and then he just like wake up. Oh, thought you were dead, buddy.
So Lance Storm is in the back with Chronic, Brian Adams, and Brian Clark, and they're trying to sell him a WWF magazine from '94. Just kidding. And Brian Adams is hurt. So here's your other hurt storyline. So we've had 3 storylines, 3 of the same storyline. Nash, Kidman, and Brian Clark. They've all been injured prior to the pay-per-view, so Storm tells Clark he's got to get checked out because Chronic's going to have a match with Luger and Bagwell later on, so that should be a barn burner. But
you know why? Everybody's hurt, right?
Brian Adams has to get checked out, and if he cannot pass the doctor's exam, he's excluded from the match.
You know why everybody's hurt, right?
Because they don't give a fuck.
No, it's because they fucking
London.
They cut all the fucking. They cut all the medical expenses out.
Yeah, something. They had to do something.
Trying to fucking save WCW. Like, all right, boys.
Bischoff,
we're going to the doctor.
Bischoff's like, if I'm going to buy this thing, So our next match is former Misfits in Action. Or Misfits in Action? Is that it? MIA?
Yes, Misfits in Action.
Fuck.
God damn it.
I'm drunk, and you have to be to talk about this shit.
Goddamn Misfits.
Well, former MIA members, The Wall versus Hugh Morris. He is no longer Hugh G. Rection. He is now once again Hugh Morris. His real name? I don't fucking know. Whatever.
Biltmont.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, every time he changes his name in WCW, we're like, he's going by his real name. Like, his name was Hugh Rection. But anyway, that's Vince Russo. Hugh Morris beats The Wall after 2 Laughing Matter moonsaults. The match is what it is. It's not terrible, but it's not good.
It's 2 good big guys.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. And then
I think if Jerry Tootie wouldn't have died, he would have had a bigger career than what he did.
Maybe if Vince would have got his hands on him, he'd probably been all right.
I'm not saying the guy would have been like the world champion or anything, but he would have had a good run. He just was on the drugs. But go ahead.
Our next match is okay. For those of you that didn't watch WCW 2001, which is probably a lot of you. Anyway, they had a faction called the Natural Born Thrillers. It was Sean Stasiak, Mark Jindrak, Sean O'Hare, Chuck Palumbo, and Mike Sanders.
Reno.
Sorry, who could ever forget Reno?
Was Reno?
Other than everyone.
He was the guy in the Filthy Animals.
You mean the Natural Born Thrillers?
Yeah, Natural Born Thrillers, sorry.
And he sucked. But anyway.
The fuck is a Natural Born Thriller?
So once again, proving out the shitty booking tactic of WCW in 2001. You have this group, they're together for about 6 months, and now you've already put them at odds with each other and broke them up, just like I was mentioning earlier about WWE 2018 with Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. Anyway, so we have a match for the WCW Tag Team Championships. What?
I'll say next month the company's out of business. I don't blame them for they had to fucking shoehorn these fucking storylines. We're like, boys, this fucking thing ain't...
But at this point, they still thought they were safe because Bischoff and Fuchsint was going to buy that shit. But anyway.
Which, hang on, real quick, did you fucking hear Bischoff talking about that?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's like, I don't hold anything against them for fucking pulling the on that motherfucker. Yeah,
well, that and he was on the beach like, it's over. Oh, good, it's over. No, it's over. Oh, fuck. I think everybody's better off. Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo, who were actually a pretty decent tag team for a couple of big, young upstarts against Sean Stasiak and Mark Jindrak, because they obviously have dissension in their group already. Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo retain the WCW tag team titles in this match. And it is decent, but not great.
Now,
they were putting... This is going to sound... You're not going to get one. Maybe you will. They were putting an armory match on a pay-per-view.
Yes.
Like, if you would see this match in an armory, you'd be like, that was a really good match.
Right.
In front of these... 175 people. Like, a lot of the filthy... I keep saying filthy animals, sorry. A lot of the natural-born thrillers could have been a lot bigger stars if they wouldn't have been put on TV when they were.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Like the problem they had was by the time they got to the WWE, people were already like, those guys suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My biggest example...
Like if they would have been in a gym or an armory or a, whatever you want to call it, a fairground or something, they would have been the best guys on the show. You know what I mean? Because they looked like Mark Jindrak looks like what you would expect a fucking professional wrestler to look like. But WCW was so desperate, they were just putting these guys out there, and they got hurt because they got out there before they were actually ready. If a Mark Jindrak put into like a Funkin' Dojo or a WWE Performance Center, or even back in the day, like a power plant, he would have been huge.
Well, I always, well, you know me. I was a mark for Sean O'Hare.
I am too. I like Sean O'Hare. I like Chuck Palumbo. You know,
and Mark Jindrak.
And Mark Jindrak. And like I said, those guys could have been. Those guys. I'm not saying they. Like I said, just like I said with the Wall, they might have not been the world champion, but they would have had careers. You know,
But they came in with a stigma
of this guy sucks. And really, the most successful one out of all of them was Chuck Palumbo. But other than that, I mean,
not so good.
Just that, huh?
Not so good.
Yeah, I think those guys got hurt by being where they were at when they where they were at. You know what I mean? It was all happenstance. They were. That was a raw group of guys that if WWE would have had them, they could have been. And I'm not saying they would have been on the same level. That you could be talking about them now, the same way that like people talk about how at one time there was John Cena, Shelton Benjamin, Brock Lesnar,
right?
And you know, in the same class, you could be talking about those guys in that same vein. I think.
Absolutely.
But they just came in at the wrong time.
So the next match of this show is honestly the best match on the show. Out of all the matches on the show, this was the highlight. The highlight was more watching them wrestle each other, which was Chavo Guerrero. Go ahead.
Is Tori Wilson on this show?
No.
Tori Wilson's not on this show?
No.
What about Stacy Keibler?
Nope.
Okay.
So
if either one of them were on, they had the best match. But we'll go with
it's Chavo Guerrero and an unmasked Rey Mysterio. The match is really good. The finish is butt. I mean, Chavo just wins on a chicanery countout kind of finish. The funniest thing about the match to me though is you have the pre pay-per-view angle with Kidman, where Chavo's so concerned about Kidman, he pays off Road Warrior Animal and Ric Flair to beat up Kidman.
Why wouldn't he beat up Rey Mysterio?
Exactly. So anyway, Chavo wins this match, and then we go to
He didn't put out there when I tried to put logic to it. He didn't tell me that Chavo was going to have a match.
No, I didn't.
I've never watched this fucking show you've been talking about.
So now we go to a segment in the back where it's Commissioner Lance Storm and Brian Adams, and they're arguing, and Lance Storm says, you know, Brian Clark hasn't got clearance yet.
Talent.
So if you're going to wrestle your match with totally buffed, Christ, it's going to be 2-on-1, which just makes it 3/4 bad. But anyway, that's the deal there. Now we have a United States Championship match because Dustin Rhodes is fighting his daddy's fight 733 years later. against Ric Flair and his Magnificent Seven. And this match is fucking terrible. I'm taking away chicken tenders at this point. It's Rick Steiner, the United States champion, against Dustin Rhodes.
I'm putting away chicken tenders at this point.
Right, I'm putting them away for later. I'm freezing these bitches. Rick Steiner, Dustin Rhodes, U.S. title. It is fucking terrible. It is fucking terrible. This is Rick Steiner when he didn't give a shit. And Dustin Rhodes when he was so worried about his addictions that he didn't give a shit. This match is... I was embarrassed to watch this match because at certain points in their careers, I really like these two guys. So this match isn't even so much terrible as it is almost sad. It's so bad.
I heard Dusty wanted to be at ringside because he heard Steiner was just passing out potatoes.
Sucky. It's so bad. It is so bad. Steiner wins. Whatever.
Was Dustin wearing his red leather pants?
Yeah, no, he was wearing his black leather pants.
Yeah. All right. More slimming, I guess.
Yeah. Those are the alcohol over heroin tights, I guess. I don't know. So now we come to our match that is... I guess you could say it's the worst match on the show because it is. There's a lot of bad on this show. But this one is Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell in a handicap match against Bryan Adams.
Crush,
brother. And then Brian Clark comes out in the middle of the match.
I thought he wasn't allowed to be in the match.
Now, wait a minute. He comes out in the middle of the match and winds up being a total bust for Bryan Adams. God, this match is so bad. Anyway, he winds up being a total bust for Adams. Totally buffed, wins the match, and then it turns out that the Bryan Adams we were watching was actually Mike Awesome dressed as Brian Clark. I'm sorry, the Brian Clark we were watching was Mike Awesome.
What is happening?
Yes, this is real, dude. This is real. Fake mustache, fake hair, everything.
Who was fake?
Mike Awesome is dressed as Brian Clark. But the real Brian
Clark.
The real Brian
Clark.
The real Brian Clark is making his way to the ring, but he's injured, like holding his gut or whatever. I don't know.
But Brian Clark is thinly muscular.
Yeah.
Mike Awesome is husky muscular.
Yep, he's huskular.
Like, if I'm gonna... Because Brian Clark obviously wasn't injured.
Right.
If I'm going to dress Mike Awesome up like anybody, I'll dress him up like Crush.
Yep.
Because they have the similar build.
However...
it's like I'm getting hot at you about this pay-per-view, and you have nothing to do with it.
I didn't book this shit. I'd have booked a much better show than this.
I would have told all these people to go home. It would have been like when Ole Anderson walked into that territory that Ron Flair. You ever hear that story?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, Nate?
Yep.
Where Ole Anderson walked in, was like, "You guys got to stop it." Stop what? All of it. Stop.
Everything.
Just go home. That's what I would have done with this shit. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all right. So our next match.
Yeah, the show kind of had me until you talked about that comic bullshit.
So our next match is for one of the most important titles in WCW. That's the commissionership of WCW. It's Lance Storm versus the Cat. Mike Awesome tries to get involved in this match because he's also...
He dressed up like Ernest Miller?
Wait, did I say Mike Awesome? I'm sorry, I meant Mike Sanders. He's also a former commissioner of WCW. Because, well, I mean, everybody gets a turn. WCW commissioner's spot was like a whore and a gangbang at this point. Everybody gets a shot.
Yeah, it's like a knighting. You know.
But anyway,
everybody's like, sir.
In all the craziness, the Cat becomes once again the commissioner of WCW.
Finally,
thank God. All is right with the world.
Yeah, him and Miss Jones dance.
And it was honestly, I bet. I know it was a commissionership or whatever, and that's stupid. But I have a feeling that Lance Storm and Ernest Miller had a decent match.
No, it actually wasn't good.
It wasn't?
No, I was expecting the match to be good, and it wasn't.
I've never seen a bad Lance Storm match.
Yeah, you watch this pay-per-view and you will.
I won't. I'll never see a bad Lance Storm match because I'll never watch this pay-per-view.
So the next match is Diamond Dallas Page and Jeff Jarrett.
Christ.
But the next match isn't Diamond Dallas Page and Jeff Jarrett because Jeff Jarrett comes out and says, remember this?
I'm actually awesome.
Remember this, DDP? And then he shows a video of DDP saying he wants Canyon any place, anytime. And they do it in this really annoying Max Headroom thing where he's like, Canyon, I'll take you any place, any. It's really fucking annoying.
That's the only videos WCW had to make.
So anyways, it
was the fucking tape skipping.
It turns out that DDP is going to wrestle Canyon. So he does. And
it's actually Mike Awesome dressed up like Canyon.
Chicanery ensues. There's a guitar involved. And Canyon beats DDP. So then Canyon says, well, your match tonight was actually against Jeff Jarrett. So now DDP has to wrestle Jeff Jarrett. Now here's the fun twist here.
This is had to watch 2 Diamond Dallas Page matches.
This is all just as bad as you picture it to be. Okay, but here's the fun twist. This is the best. This might be the best twist in WCW in the entire 99 through 2001 era. Okay?
Oh God.
Check it out. Now tell me this isn't a good twist, guys. So remember, Jarrett used his guitar on DDP so Canyon could beat DDP, right?
Yeah.
So now DDP is wrestling Jarrett. And when they go to try to use a guitar, there's no guitar. So DDP beats Jarrett. Because there's no guitar to use.
I hate wrestling now.
I know. Now, granted, any other time there would be 14 guitars under the ring with baby powder loaded in them. I know. But anyway, so DDP beats Jarrett. So now we're on to our main. Remember our main event?
Yeah.
Remember our
Scott
first
Steiner versus Mike Awesome dressed as Kevin Nash.
With a Jeff Jarrett guitar for the commissionership.
Jesus Christ.
So this is our 18th knee angle of the night. And this match is Steiner's title versus Nash's career.
And at this point, Kevin Nash is like, I tap.
Hey, I'm
done.
I don't care as long as
man.
I don't care as long as
I
I
don't give
get
a fuck.
I don't give a fuck as long as I get a check, What the fuck ever, who drew? I did, like I was a champ. But not really, but I was. But anyway, Scott Steiner because of interference. Okay, first Kevin Nash comes out. Steiner comes out, talks a bunch of shit about how Nash is hurt. He can't beat Steiner. Steiner's the man. He's the big bad booty daddy, etc., etc. And then Nash comes out in a wheelchair with his knee all bandaged up. But you know it's a hoax because he's got nurses that have like gigantic tits. You know, that's Kevin Nash's gimmick at this point. It's just like he comes out with chicks with big titties. But anyway, if you have tits, you got a wrestling show. Who gives a fuck?
Hey, where's the Charles?
Hey, who gives a fuck about the wrestling? Like what is this real? What is it real? When are we fucking really fighting?
Those aren't real.
Am I really fighting Steiner? No.
Titties ain't real.
They entertain the people with some titties that ain't real. Fuck it.
I mean, who's the mark? They bought the paper.
Who's the mark? Anyway, Nash is, of course, faking that his knee.
Hey, I figured I was running this shit.
Who?
Terry Taylor and Johnny Ace.
Well, that's all we know about that.
That's as good an option as anybody. So Steiner, after help from Ric Flair and Madeja, winds up beating Kevin Nash, retains his title, and now, quote unquote, Kevin Nash is gone from WCW, which was going to obviously, I guess, play into a storyline that Bischoff was going to do if he got to relaunch WCW, because they took out Goldberg, they took out Sting, they took out all these guys, and Bischoff, when they relaunched WCW, was going to bring them all back in this big triumphant babyface versus heel feud, which never got to play out, so none of this actually makes any sense. But anyway, that is Super Brawl 2001, and if I'm rating this in Yep chicken fingers, I'm gonna have to say this pay-per-view gets a half a Yep chicken finger.
What?
It's a half a chicken finger, a half a fucking Jeff Farmer Yep.
Too many chicken fingers.
And the only reason it gets any credit is because Chavo and Ray have a really good match. Other than that, this is a trash pay-per-view. Throw it away. Don't ever watch it.
You give them some queso dip and tell them to get their own chicken.
If you have a WWE Network subscription, skip it. It's not worth the 0.01 cents you would be paying out of your $9.99 a month to watch this garbage.
Because it made
fucking pay-per-view.
How much did you say it was?
It was like a half a chicken finger because of.
How much did you say if you were watching it on the network, you paid for it?
Oh, out of the $9.99 a month you pay, it'd probably be like a quarter of a cent, depending on how much you watch the network.
It made a quarter of a cent. Because this pay-per-view is terrible.
Oh, it's fucking awful. Like I said, the only real redeeming thing that I would ever go back and watch again without being forced is the Chavo Ray match. The match wasn't bad. So, and the cruiserweight, the cruiserweight 6-man was okay, but I'd never watch it again. So anyway, that, as they say, is that.
I'm really sorry you had to sit through that.
I'm not.
Asshole.
Very much.
But anyway, that being said, with my pain being exerted, it is time to wrap up the We Can't Wrestle podcast for this week. Next week's show will be freeform. No top 10, no pay-per-views, no specific topic for next week. So we're all just going to bring to the table whatever we bring to the table, and that'll be it. And with that being said, gentlemen, do you have any parting words before we sign off on this long, arduous edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast?
I hate wrestling. Fucking hate it.
I don't hate wrestling.
After listening to that fucking horrid show, I feel your pain because I had to watch fucking Great American Bash 2000.
Still better than Raw right now.
You know what I do every time I have to watch a shitty pay-per-view like Super Brawl 01, Kyle?
What's that?
Choke a puppy?
No. Although you'd like to. Go back and watch In Your House Canadian Stampede.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Great American Bash 86. A fantastic wrestling show, and just remind yourself how good it is and why you're a fan. Go back and watch the first Raw is War, you know?
You want to watch something really random, which is actually one of the greatest wrestling events to ever be put on?
What's that?
Just go and watch Spring Stampede 1994. That's just a standalone great wrestling show.
Or I know, Aaron, you'll disagree with this because it's so recent and everything, but go back and watch WrestleMania 26.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's the main event of that one?
Taker and Shawn.
Oh yeah.
And it's got Brett and Vince with that whole angle. It's got some really good matches on it too. It's got Edge and Jericho. Go back and watch SummerSlam 08. Or fucking WrestleMania 14. I know, I'm WrestleMania 13, 14. I know I'm harboring here. This is the end of the show. But I'm just saying, Kyle, you started this train. I hate to be a wrestling fan. I hate wrestling. But we know why we love it.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, other than your... Kyle, you're the negative one this week. Damn. Other than your negative ass approach to the shit. Kyle, say goodbye to your fans.
Bye, fans.
Bye, fans.
Bye, fans.
Aaron?
So, yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the We Can't Wrestle podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week with a freeform edition of the show. We're just going to bring to the table whatever we bring to the table and see what happens.
Abraham Lincoln said, when in doubt, whip it out.
And that's... Okay.
Right?
That's right. Yes. But he probably had syphilis. But anyway... Thank you for joining us on the show this week, wrestling fans, and we'll see you next week for more of the We Can't Wrestle podcast.